But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest. Into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show's live. We do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what exactly is it that we do? Well, we talk about all the things you're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Like I said, this show's live. We are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM and looking to take your phone calls tonight and get your idea on cloning, human cloning. Do you think this is a thing? Do you think this is actually a thing? That's what's on my mind tonight. Lots of things to talk about, lots of things to think about, ethical implications and all kinds of just crazy stuff. And, well, that's what we do on this show. We do something called drinking the maybe juice. And what the maybe juice means is a quote by Aristotle goes a little something like this. It is the mark of an educated mind to consider the possibility of an idea without accepting it. And basically, that is a good way to boil down what drinking the maybe juice means. And so there are people out there that actually do believe in clones, that there's clones walking around on the earth right now, of clones of notable people and all the rest of this stuff. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. And so, as usual, right, drinking the maybe juice as being part of this whole thing is not, I'm not telling you any of this stuff is true. We're discussing and considering the possibility, all right? So just so you know, I know we have a lot of new folks coming on board, so hello to all the new folks, hello to all the old folks, hello to all the folks that have been around for quite some time and supporting the show. Appreciate that very much. I see everybody in the chat. We are watching all the chats, doing our best here to keep up with everything. And of course, we've got all those chat rooms going in all those different places I described, including the Discord. So if you guys want to be part of the show, what we're going to do tonight is we'll take your phone calls like we do every other night, and looking for your thoughts on cloning. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. You can also join the Discord by going to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. Click the Discord link and it'll give you a direct invite. And come meet with lots of people, lots of good people that there's really only two rules to be on this show and to be part of the community is just, don't be so sure that you're always right about everything, and give everybody else some space, right? That's part of the first rule. And just don't be a D-bag. Don't be a bigot. Don't be all these terrible things that people are, right? It's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to get along and have a discussion, and that's what it's all about. So, also we have another chat room rolling at fringe.fm/chat. I'm watching that as well. That'll give you a direct invite. Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free, and it's what we use on this show to do international calls, because the 702 area code is from Las Vegas, which of course is where I'm streaming from, and international folks get charged when they do that. So Discord's free, and you could use it anywhere in the world. You just need an internet connection. Troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, and also fringe.fm/chat. That will give you a direct invite to both rooms. I'm watching all the chats and all the places. One more quick thing before we get going is the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds, if you're on the road or whatever, got a Bluetooth speaker or cooking in the kitchen or something and can't be around a regular larger type device, just download the fringe.fm app. You can find it on the App Store, Apple, and all the rest of this stuff, Android, you know where to find it. Anywhere apps are found, and it is completely free, and there you go. All right, so well, tonight, speaking of Discord, by the way, as we get started on this weird thought regarding cloning, human cloning, this idea actually came from the Discord, came from the Troubled Minds Discord. Yesterday, Bailey, what's up? Shout out to Bailey. Actually posted a link in there and said, what is this? Is this guy trolling? Do you think this is real? What's happening with this? And it was about human cloning and Kid Boo, which we'll get to in a moment here. But I was like, what? So I watched it and was intrigued. And not only that, several other people in the chat watched that as well in the Discord, and it kind of sparked a conversation. So thank you to all the folks in the Discord. You guys know who you are. If I name everybody, I'll leave somebody out. So we'll just leave it as Bailey started it. Lots of amazing folks jumped into the conversation and sort of got the idea, the brainworm going on right here in the Michael Strange brainworm head. So, okay, so that's what's going on. So, what's up, Jennifer in the chat says, press 1 if you think it's real. There you go. Press 1 if you think it's real in the chat. All right, the story goes a little something like, okay, before we get to that story, this is the thing, all right? This is the idea tonight, and there's some questions on my mind. Do you think cloning humans is a real thing? Do you think cloning humans is real? Meaning not like in a sort of, DARPA way. Like, let's say that this has been prevalent kind of all over the place, all right? Meaning, let's say there's human clones walking the world right now, and not just maybe a few, let's say more than a few hundred, more than a few thousand, and let's say that this is going to become more and more of a thing. I think that's the deal here, right? That's what's on my mind tonight. I don't know the answers to this. You guys know me. I'm trying to figure things out just like you are, just like everybody is. And so the thought crossed my mind again from that link in the Discord from Bailey. Shout out to Bailey. Thank you very much for sharing that. And lots of amazing links in the Discord, by the way. People sharing amazing stuff all the time. So the thing is this, right? If human clones are a thing, all right? So if, I'm saying if. I'm not saying this is real. I'm saying if, okay? Part of drinking the maybe juice, all right? So if this is real, how prevalent is this? All right. Do you think it's possible that we're actually cloning people out there in secret laboratories hidden deep under the ground, things like this? Or do you think this is all just some sort of elaborate hoax, some sort of troll, some people that are, into a particular religion, let's say, which we'll get to tonight? Have you ever heard of a UFO religion? Well, if you haven't, we're going to get to that as well. So it's part of this whole human cloning thing going on. It's sort of one of those deep rabbit holes where you're like, okay, this is fine. Let's look into some cloning, and then you do, and you're like, oh, a UFO cult? What is this? A UFO religion? What? Tens of thousands of people the world over have signed up to this, and What is going on? Like, that's how fast it just spins off the rails when you start looking into this one. So that's what we're doing tonight. So that's the question as we begin. Do you believe that human cloning is real? Do you think we can actually pull this off? Again, from some sort of DNA from one person, not to one person. Literally, let's say, for instance, you take my DNA, Michael Strange's DNA, you put it in a laboratory, and in 9 months, bam, there's a bouncing baby boy by the name of Michael Strange, genetically identical to me. We'd have to name him Mikey, I guess, and we'll go with Mikey Strange tonight. But so you tell me. I think if that's the case, right, then clearly we're bypassing all the laws of nature as we know them, okay, all the reproductive laws of nature, with, of course, genetic diversity, a male, female type, the egg and the sperm and all the stuff. I'm not going to make this a class about the birds and the bees, but I'm pretty sure you guys know how that works. But the thing is that, right, so if this is real, okay, do you believe it's real first? And second, how long has this been happening if it is real? And how prevalent? Those are the questions on my mind tonight. So we're going to get into some pretty weird stuff, all right? We're going to get into some pretty strange things. Okay, so it starts like this. All right, we're going to go to this. So usually we do a news story, kind of like a current news story, but this one's not so current. It's from 2018, but it's good enough for me because apparently this cloning thing has been going on for a very, very long time. And so we'll do this. We'll do this. Here we go. This is from hotnewhiphop.com, and you'll see why this begins here. Why this journey starts on this website. Here we go. All right. So the headline here is Kid Buu claims he's a clone like Gucci Mane and Michael Jackson. All right. And it's like, wait, what? Wait, what? What is going on with this, right? Okay. All right. So that's what's happening here, all right? That's the strangeness. That's the odd thing that's going down and got me thinking, right? And again, shout out to Bailey for pointing this out. Here we go. Kid Buu is a rapper who is named after a Dragon Ball Z character. He's also known as Wakashi 558. All right, by some of his haters. Now, the entertainer is creating buzz with his natal story. He appeared on Vlad TV and revealed that he was a clone, right? A clone, like an actual clone, right? This odd concept came up straight out of the gate when he was asked about his hometown. Vlad wanted to verify that he was in fact born in New Jersey but grew up in South Florida. And the quote goes a little something like this. Kid Buu agreed with a straight face and added on some more info to that. Quote, yeah, originally, my first gen. I'm a second gen now. My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by Clonaid in Canada. My model number is 0112568 for anyone who wants to see the registration of cloning. That was a direct quote, and I've got those actual audio clips that we'll listen to as we go tonight, as we start going and seeing what's happening here. His nationality, straight from the article here, his nationality was brought up next. Kid Buu says he's Sicilian and Puerto Rican, adding that those are his two genomes. This information was made available to him through his stealing documents before escaping the cloning facility. Oh boy. Like I said, right? Like I always say with this is truth seems to be stranger than fiction. And even if this is a tall tale, well, it is the tallest of tales, is it not? So as we start, we'll read a little bit more of this. Apparently, these documents were vital for his personal narrative. He says that most of his memory was wiped clean to allow for whatever new program was made to proceed smoothly. Oh, and apparently Gucci Mane and Michael Jackson have gone through a similar experience. Watch the clip below. I've got the audio clip on this, so we'll play some of the audio and you can actually hear it in his own words. And clearly, obviously, this guy could be pulling our leg. All right, don't get me wrong. Like I said, we were on the Algorithm channel on YouTube over the weekend, and I said it like this: look, I'm a semi-professional conspiracy theorist, and I don't believe all this stuff. Right, all of it. There's truth to some of this. There's big, tall tales to another batch of it. Our job is discernment. Okay, and the thing is this. Right? Conspiracies are everywhere. For sure. Okay? However, it does not mean that everything is a conspiracy. Okay? And it's for us as individuals to determine what that means. Okay? So, like I said, I'm not so sure I buy this, at least coming from this guy. And, people have said that he's a troll and he's doing all kinds of stuff and notably making up tall tales and all the rest of these things, right? So fine, whatever. All right. He's a clone, first gen, second gen. He escaped from a cloning facility. He stole documents that proves it, he says. Well, I kind of want to see the documents. I kind of want to see receipts on this because, well, yeah, that's just me. That's just me. But anyway, it doesn't matter what I think, right? I'm a one person. You're one person out there listening. And the thing is this, right? What do you believe? Do you believe that this is actually possible for, let's say, a cloning facility, for an escape like this, for human cloning to exist at all, for human clones to be walking around with wiped memories and implanted? Who knows, right? I think I looked into this a little bit. And the science, well, at least the science that you can find, suggests that it's not possible yet. All right. Though we do know they've cloned Dolly the sheep. Everybody remember the infamous Dolly the sheep cloning experiments where, yes, indeed, they took the DNA from a particular sheep. They cloned another one, named her Dolly, and she lived for a few years, I believe, right? It's a few years, and there were some genetic mishaps and problems, and she wasn't entirely healthy. But, well, I don't know. So if they can do a sheep, right, and that was years and years ago, well, don't you think at some point they would try a human being, a human person? I would think so, even if they did it in secret. I think they would have to especially do this in secret. And again, drinking the maybe juice here. I don't know if this is real, okay? But the thing is this. If they were cloning people in some sort of a secret facility, it would remain secret, don't you think? Because, well, we've watched recently in recent days the Robert Bigelow, right, of UFO billionaire fame, Skinwalker Ranch fame. He owned it just before the current owner. And, well, what's going on with that? He's looking into consciousness, into transferring consciousness, right? So if the cloning type of thing, by the way, he had an essay contest, which has been awarded. They picked winners from that. And the winner, one of the winners last night was on an unnamed radio station with a nice fellow that lives here in Las Vegas as well. And, well, I think the thing is I don't know. Okay. Clearly, like I always say, this is the question show. This is not the answer show. If it was the answer show, it'd be a super short thing because I'd just say, all right, here's the answers. Well, it's not as easy as that, is it? I wish life were that easy, and it's not that easy. So okay. So as we do this, as we continue into this tonight, we'll play some audio clips from Kid Buu. I'll play one in just a sec here, but to get us started, it's a little bit of a medium length interview. So we've got a few we'll play as we go tonight. But you can hear in his own words how he describes he was actually cloned. He says he was cloned by a company that goes by the name CloneAid. CloneAid. Yep, that's right. As horrific as it sounds, I looked into it, and yes, shout out to Often Frozen on the on the Discord. Yes, it is a thing. Apparently, CloneAid is a real company, and of course, yes, it's linked to an alien religion. Yeah, you got that right. UFO religion, right? Yeah, the truth is stranger than fiction. So, okay, so as we go tonight, that's the question. That's what's on my mind. If you want to be part of the show, you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show that way as well. Now, the question is this, exactly. So, do you think human cloning is real? Has this been happening? Do you think, how long, if so, right? Yes or no, that's cool. Like, either way is fine by me. I don't know where to stand on this. I do believe that DARPA kind of hides things and, military applications and the National Security Act and all that stuff, right? I get it. So if there was something like this going on and, well, they wouldn't tell us. I don't think they'd tell us because all kinds of ethical implications here. Well, I think it'd be a secret. And I think if we can do sheep, for sure, it seems like at least we'd be trying to create human clones at some point. So that part doesn't seem way out there to me. The part that does is, let's say, I don't know, let's say God forbid out there somebody gets sick, right? And they are able to create a clone of themselves, artificially age this thing somehow, or even maybe as a baby, and just move your consciousness into said clone of yourself. Well, we've talked about this in terms of like ritual and the ancient Egyptians wrapping people in these funerary traditions, trying to keep their DNA alive for thousands of years. Well, what for? What for? Is this what it's for? Is this where we're at? I don't know. So love to hear your thoughts one more time. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. And that's the question tonight. Do you believe human cloning is actually happening out there? And if so, how long do you think this has been going on, and how many clones do you think are walking around? Yeah, right? Yeah, okay. We may as well, let's do this. We may as well do this. Drinking a lot of the maybe juice tonight, because why in the world not? But okay, so let's play this clip from Kid Buu and hear the first part of this in his own words, describing his cloning process. So this starts out as just a regular, hip-hop type interview, right? He's promoting music, and they start the interview, but look what this guy says.
Kid Buu, welcome to Vlad TV.
Hello.
Making a lot of noise recently, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, everyone works towards that, that video that goes viral. And it looks like you have like a nice little handful of them now. You know what I mean? It's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, I got my hands a bit full now, thanks to these accomplishments. Got a few more extra things in my hand I didn't quite anticipate, but it all comes with the territory, I suppose.
Of course. So, where'd you grow up?
South Florida.
Okay. I guess you were born in Jersey?
Yeah. Originally, my first gen. I'm a second gen now. That's why you see the celebrity bursts say I'm born in Toronto, but that's false. My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by Clonade in Canada. My model number is 0112568, if anyone wants to see the registration in Clonade.
Okay. So then you ended up in South Florida?
Yeah.
Okay. And what nationality are you?
Sicilian and Puerto Rican.
Okay. Sicilian and Puerto Rican. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that now.
Those are my two genomes.
Okay. So who's the Puerto Rican one? Who's the Sicilian one?
When I was cloned, they wiped a lot of memory. But when I stole the documents before escaping, I read that the mother was Puerto Rican and the father, surrogate, you could say, was the sperm donor was the Sicilian.
Okay, so you were a test tube baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some plot holes already. We got just a little piece of that interview, and we got some plot holes, don't we? So if you have two donors, a mother and a father, doesn't that mean you're not a clone? Anyway, we're going to throw out plot holes aside tonight because we're talking about cloning, all right? Now, this is a pretty tall tale from this guy, and some plot holes as we begin. However, right, this Clonade place that he mentions not once but twice in this interview is actually a real company, if you can believe that. Clonade is a real company. From Canada, and sketchy, as said by Often Frozen in the Discord there. And, well, what's going on with this? So anyway, plot holes aside from his claims immediately, we'll get to exactly. Daryl's got it right. That doesn't make him a clone. It makes him a test tube baby. Exactly, right? So we got, again, plot holes, escapement from a cloning facility and all the rest of this. But we're going to suspend our disbelief as usual while we drink some of the maybe juice. And you guys know what that means. Drinking the maybe juice. Well, we're going to consider the possibility that, well, maybe clones do exist. What do you think regarding human cloning, regarding maybe DARPA, maybe who knows, this company Clonade from Canada? Do you think this stuff is real? That's what's on my mind tonight. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More cloning and you after the break. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss human cloning. Little place named Clonaid in Canada, the Raelians, and all of this as being possible. We call it Drink of the Maybe Juice. What do you think? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Is cloning real? Not Dolly the sheep, of course. We know all about that. What about human cloning? That's what we're talking about tonight. That's what's on my mind, this whole story with the Raelians and Clonaid and, well, Kid Buu and his, let's say, plot hole-like claims that he was actually cloned. And he's got a cloning number. He says he escaped from a cloning facility. And, of course, right, he's definitely known as a giant troll, apparently. And so, well, he's not the first one to mention Clonaid is the problem here. So I don't know. What do you guys believe regarding this? I think this is one of those weird ones where, you know, some people believe that, you know, part of this breakaway civilization type thing, these secret medical programs and things like this, right? Well, if that's the case, how long has this been going on? How many actual clones do you think are human clones are walking around the earth right now? And again, right, so if that's the case too, I mean, there's a lot of questions here. So if that's the case and we have actual clones walking around, do they know they're clones? Let's say there was let's just use myself as the example. Let's say there's a Mikey Strange out there that's been cloned, right? That's me. It's exactly me, cloned. But does that person know that they're actually me and they've been cloned? Or do they think they're just, you know, going through, living life just like I did? Or, well, you want a real brain screw. What if I'm already a clone? What if I've been cloned? What if my birth was, let's say, under dubious circumstances? Mother Strange out there, I apologize if you're listening. She listens from time to time. And so I'm not suggesting I was created in a laboratory, even though, right, sometimes I have my suspicions. But, of course, tongue-in-cheek here, I'm just making fun of myself. But the question is tonight is, how much of this do you believe? Do you think cloning is actually happening, and how long has this been going on? So let's get back to this Kid Buu interview, right? Which really started this whole thing. Again, shout out to Bailey for linking this in the Discord last night, which I thought was awesome and hilarious, all at the same time. But this interview with this individual by the name of Kid Buu, he claims he was a clone, all right? He claims he was created in a lab in Canada, right, by this Canadian company known as Clonaid. All right. And so I was like, okay, let's take a look at this. Let's see, right? There's got to be a paper trail of some sort. There's got to be something here if this is a real company, right? So you can actually, go right to their website. Yep, they have a website. They actually have a website. All right, clonaid.com, clonaid.com. I'm going to read straight from their website, all right? And this is, again, Kid Buu describing himself as being made as a clone and from this company named Clonaid. And let's see what this website says. All right, well, it says this. Clonaid, the first human cloning company in the world, was founded in February 1997 by RAEL, and a group of investors who created the Valiant Venture Limited Corporation based in the Bahamas. In the first couple years of Clonaid, it has already received enormous media coverage. However, due to the pressure mounted on the Bahamas government by French journalists, Valiant Venture Limited was canceled as government representatives were thinking the laboratories would be established on the Bahamas island. Meanwhile, the list of serious potential customers had grown to more than 250 people. Therefore, during the year 2000, RAEL, R-A-E-L, we'll get to that in a sec, decided to hand over the Clonaid project to Dr. Brigitte Boisselier. We'll say that's right. A Raelian bishop. What does that mean? A Raelian bishop. In order for her to start working on actually cloning the first human being with a team of well-trained scientists. Dr. Boisselier has PhD degrees in physical and molecular chemistry. In her last job, she was a marketing director for a large chemical company in France. All right, this is again from the website CloneAid, Pioneers in Human Cloning. I've got lots of questions here regarding cloning, of course, but we'll get to that as we go. But this continues straight from their website in the About Us page, right? The history of CloneAid. Yeah. In the summer of 2000, an American couple that wanted to help develop this technology in order for them to have a baby contacted Dr. Bosselier. They were the first major investors funding the equipment and the laboratory needed, and CloneAid's first human cloning laboratory was set up in early 2001. All right. In the summer of 2001, following several visits from U.S. government representatives in our facilities, CloneAid decided to pursue its human cloning project in another country where human cloning is legal. All right. So the plot thickens, right? We got a lot of stuff going on here, and how much of this is true? How much is true? Clearly, I think it makes sense to me that if there was a cloning operation happening, what about the ethics? There's another question to add into this. Do you think it's ethical to clone human beings, right? Some other questions that are being asked in the chat, right? If it is, whether or not it's ethical, what happens to a clone itself, right? It's the exact DNA of some other individual walking the earth. So does that mean that there's a soul in that? Does that mean, somebody mentioned in the chat a little ways up, is there a soul or a spark inside? What is exactly going on with this, okay? And I don't know. I think there's a whole lot of pretty wild ideas here. And what does it mean? What are the implications? Like, again, think of it in personal terms. What if you yourself are actually a clone? And what if you just don't know the difference? How would you know? Right? I think that's the weirdness of this, and what it means is I have no idea. Once again, I have no idea. So we're going to get to the Raelians as we go tonight, but that's apparently who created this CloneAid company, all right? And so I was like, all right, no. This is not real. No, I'm not doing this. This is not real. This is not real. I'm not doing this, right? I start looking, right? And sure enough, let's see. This is from, where is it? Let me find this real quick. Yeah, you better believe it. Bloomberg, on the Bloomberg website. We got the dog chewing the carpet again. Damn it! On the Bloomberg website. All right, they have a list of companies. Okay, and so I'm like, all right, let's find an actual company here, right? Like a listing, like they're an official company. So yeah, here you go. This is from. You got it. You got it. CloneAid is a human cloning company. This is right on the Bloomberg website. The company was founded in February 1997 by Rael, R-A-E-L, who is the leader of the Raelian movement, an international religious organization which claims that life on Earth was created scientifically through DNA and genetic engineering by an alien. Yeah, well... All the links are in the description. If you don't believe me, if you think, no way, Michael Strange, what are you talking about? Well, yep, there it is. Right on Bloomberg, lists it as a legitimate company. Not that like Bloomberg is the, end all be all, but if it was a joke, right? If this was literally like, relegated to the conspiracy theory land, then you would expect, right? Then maybe they wouldn't be listed as a real company, right? And actually, yeah, a copy of that, James. Thank you. We'll go to you in just a sec. So that's my thought tonight. That's what is going on with this. So Bloomberg says this is a real company. They've got a real website. Also notable, often frozen out there in the Discord yesterday, said, I tried to contact them through their contact form, but well, it's broken. So you can't contact them in traditional manner anymore because, well, they've probably moved underground, haven't they? Or is this even real? I think this is what I'm saying. So a few more questions now. So now we're talking about the Raelians, all right, who believe in it's a UFO religion. Like, no joke, it's a UFO religion. We'll get to the Raelians in a bit here. But okay, so the thing is this, right? So if this is the case, let's say even the Raelians aren't the ones doing this. Let's say this is some sort of PSYOP cover, right? I think that's probably maybe what I'm more inclined to believe just right off with the Raelians right now and this clonade thing. But like I said, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. And what do you think? If you want to be part of the show tonight, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, the official website. The phone number is there as well, so just one place for all your Troubled Minds needs. And, well, let's do it. Let's go to, looks like James is in the Discord, so let's go to James. Let's go to good buddy James of Salcedo Paranormal. What's up, James? Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm okay. Glad to be here. Great topic.
Right on. Thank you very much. What do you think? Does this sound ridiculous and off the rails already? What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know. I do agree that there are, as you said, the plot holes are definitely, they seem obvious, but just going off of what has been said in the chat already, but I'll just say it, for the podcast version or whatever. The cloning thing is strange to me because, again, if you're looking for any kind of, there wouldn't be any kind of consciousness or soul in there, I wouldn't think. How would you do that? Would it be, what would their brains even work? That's a really big question I have about all that. And if they do work, how do they work if they don't have a consciousness or a soul? I mean, are they then just like basically robots? I don't know about any of the other stuff, but that's just the things that come to mind from that.
Yeah, I think basically we talked about this previously as well when we talk about transferring your consciousness from one thing to another, right? How does that work? DNA, is it sort of like source code to an individual and also the soul? And if that's the case, then would exact DNA replicated in a laboratory, creating a new human being, actually result in more like another human? Or let's say like a golem of sorts, right? Some sort of something else that maybe may not be human at all. The DNA is the same, but I have no idea what is going on with this. Okay, plot holes aside. Now, do you think this is possible? Do you think that maybe there are clones walking around today, right now on Earth? Maybe you bumped into one on the way down to the bus or whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe. Do you think this is really happening?
I think it's possible. I don't know for sure. I do think that it's interesting how in a lot of fiction, most time when you clone things, the clones don't always turn out so well. There's mistakes or errors in the process, and it makes you wonder where that's coming from in the literature. If it's something that's already been tried, and so it's kind of filtering through that. I don't know, but I'd be very surprised if they are able to totally copy a consciousness or a soul just based on the DNA. Not that I know anything about DNA, but I'd be very surprised. But yeah, I think it's possible. I think cloning would also give good opportunities to do even more experiments on people without having to capture anyone or trick anyone into volunteering. If you're just experimenting on clones for whatever reasons, then you might be easier that way too. So that might be a reason for them being there in the first place.
Yeah, and then again, there's a whole lot at stake here if this stuff's real, right? Again, implications of the soul. Like, again, how long, if this is real, how long has this been going on? What would they even use this for? I mean, let's go to fiction again, and let's go to Star Wars, right? Everybody that's a Star Wars fan knows about the Clone Wars, right? In that they created from Boba Fett, his DNA, an entire army of what became the stormtroopers at some point, right? The clone army, because they deemed robots were insufficient for their needs and clumsy and easily shut down and things like this. So, well, I don't know. Do you think that maybe real life is mirroring fiction in this, and they've created a clone army somewhere, very much like the terracotta warriors underneath the ground in China, except they're real? Oh boy.
Yeah. No, this is all just made. I mean, you know what? No, it's very possible. I can't. I mean, the times that fiction or that reality ends up mimicking fiction is just. I mean, at this point, I don't know. It seems like it's a given at some point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like clearly, I believe it's possible. All right, clearly, I believe it's possible. Do we have the technology now? Even probably. I would even say probably, right? So that Dolly thing with the sheep, that was the first public thing that got a ton of press, right? And as we know, they do tons of things in government labs underground and, kind of by off the books and things like this, because otherwise you'd never get anything done, right? So I don't know, like, are we at the point where we could possibly create like a clone army, like out of Star Wars? Oh man, I hate to think of it as a thing, but I guess I would say we're probably close, right? Like, let's say you just threw all the ethics out the window, all the oversight out the window, and they were like, all right, let's just put all the resources and all our time scientifically into creating a clone army. I think we're probably close to that technology-wise. Do you think so?
Yeah, and maybe they don't care if there's not consciousness. Maybe there's enough there for them to control these clones without the clones being able to think, have advanced enough thoughts to object. Maybe it's one of those things where it's more of a it is an army, let's say, but let's say they don't have consciousness exactly, so they're almost like biological robots. They're just a little more advanced.
Exactly, biological robots. Okay, all right, pretty wild, amazing stuff. Anything else for us, my friend? We got a couple calls behind you, so we got to bump you off. But what else you got for us?
No, that was it. I'm glad you got some more calls and looking forward to hearing what everybody says, because this is not an area I am familiar with, but great stuff.
You as well. Thank you so much for breaking the ice, for calling. Everybody, this is James of Salcedo Paranormal. He's got a fantastic podcast where he talks about paranormal stuff 5 days a week. Check him out. Link is in the description. Thanks, James. You're the best, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call. Let's go. So we're taking your phone calls tonight. We're talking about all of this stuff. We're talking about cloning. We're talking about this Clonaid company. We're going to be talking about the Raelians in a little bit here. And Kid Buu claims, of course, he's a rapper. He claims that he was actually a clone himself and escaped from a cloning facility. So like we said, some plot holes. I'll play that clip again as we go tonight and kind of reframe the conversation so you guys know what we're talking about. Folks that didn't start from the beginning. But okay. That's the deal. Do you think cloning's real? If so, how long has this been going on? If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And I'm not talking about Dolly the sheep. I'm talking about cloning human beings. You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts. Let's go to, I'm not sure who this is, but you are on Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, it's Lewis from California.
Lewis in California. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Yeah, hey, I've been thinking, those human clones, they've been going on for a while, but mostly the celebrities, like Hollywood or, think about the music industry, right? So you got one person, but then they act out of control. So they have to kill off the original person, so they clone them to control, that clone.
Gotcha. So there's been, you're talking about Hollywood and sort of this control mechanism. We talking about like maybe satanic control, or do you think it's something else before we off the clone?
I would say satanic.
Okay. All right. All right. So just to frame it appropriately, I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Okay. So if we're talking about, let's say you have a celebrity that's being controlled through satanic means, and they spurg out, right? They freak out. They become uncontrollable because the voodoo or whatever the heck they're using to control them breaks, or their psyche breaks down, or whatever, right? And we've seen the celebrities, politicians, right? Now, you can probably name some names, but let's not do that, because let's not claim anybody's in particular a clone here. Hate to do that. But okay, but point being, people have said this in the past, and when they spurg out and they are no longer controllable, they destroy the individual and recreate them as a clone so they could easily control them. That's what's going on here, you think?
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Okay, all right. How long do you think this has been happening?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe a couple years, maybe 50 years.
Okay. All right. About one human lifetime or so. So sometime after World War II, they probably came up with this. All right. I got it. So what else? What else you got for us regarding this or the Raelians or Clonate or anything else?
No, nothing really. I mean, if you look at the Clone Wars and the movie, the Star Wars thing, it's all about how they control too.
Yeah. All right. I'm with you. I do like to look at fiction for some of the ideas here. Fantastic stuff. I appreciate it. Thank you for calling. Your first time call, right? First time caller tonight?
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being part of the show. I appreciate your take.
You too.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a great night. Lewis in California. There you go. Simple as that. You want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubledminds.org. We'll put the phone numbers there. Discord link is there, and we'll put you on the show. Thank you, James and Lewis, for calling so far. And we're still looking to get your thoughts on, of course, cloning. Human cloning. Do you think this is real? How long this has been happening? Let's go to, I believe this is Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm all right.
Right on.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Go right ahead. We got a couple minutes. All yours.
So, the cloning thing, I remember seeing a video on Reddit, and I definitely wouldn't be able to find it again, but it reminded me of cloning. It had like a view of a factory, and all the workers inside were all like the same shape, they were doing the same motions. Like it was very hard work. And like you could tell like the video was like like a sneak video. And it just reminded me of like a clone workforce and like how China is so aggressive with everything that like we would definitely have to jump on board. It's kind of like the nuclear bomb, you know. Next thing you know, we got people who are like the Hulk, you know, coming after us. And if we don't have that, we're going to be in trouble. Or at least something to combat that. The
arms race. Exactly. If they're doing it, we got to be doing it. And that's why I don't have a problem believing this might be a real like secret military project or something for sure. So if you had to take a guess, how long do you think this has been going on?
I mean, as long as they've been able to do it. I don't know when that is, but as soon as they were able to do it, I'm sure they were experimenting. And I'd hope that, like, through testing, you'd be able to tell, like, because you never know in nature, like, you're messing with nature, you know, if you make a copy of a copy, something, and let it go, and you can't track that down, you know, it could cause a lot of issues.
Yeah, well, a lot of issues with a lot of things.
It'd be nice.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know if you could like test if you are a clone. Like, I don't know, that could be a whole business in itself. Like, test if you're a clone today.
I love it. There you go. If anybody gets that figured out, Joseph and I want in on the business. Let us know. All right. What else you got for us, my friend? We got about 30 seconds for you.
That's it.
You're the best. Thank you for calling, Joseph in Iowa. Thanks for listening. Appreciate your input as always. Have a great night, my friend.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Simple as that. Looking to hear your thoughts tonight. Great calls so far already. We're considering all the things, right? Again, back to the Aristotle, drinking the maybe juice. I'm going to just paraphrase Aristotle and say, sometimes you just need to drink some maybe juice. And well, tonight, that's what we're doing. We're getting together, considering whether human cloning has been happening, and if so, how long has this been going on? We're going to come back and talk about the Raelians, the UFO cult that's behind this Clonate company, and is any of this even real? That's what's on my mind tonight. Love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the program, part of the show, part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More cloning, Clonade, the Raelians, and you when we return. Be right back. we are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So we got, all right, so
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show is live. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And, well, what do we do on this show? You got it. We drink some of the maybe juice. Talking about aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Do you want to be part of the show tonight? We're taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org and fringe.fm/chat. Watching all of the chat rooms, trying to keep up with everybody, including Laura Jean, I see out there on the Fringe chat. How are you? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And we're just doing our thing. Drinking the maybe juice, considering all the things as possible. As Aristotle says, well, in a famous quote from the old days, the good old days, well, how's it go? I screwed this up the first time. Let's see if I can get it right the second time. It is the mark of an educated mind to consider the prospect of something being true and not actually taking it as a truth for yourself. I botched that as well, but this is going to have to be good enough. And that's what drinking the maybe juice means, considering that, well, any of these things could or could not be true. And that's what this is all about. So tonight we're discussing, of course, you guessed it, human cloning. Now, is this real? Right? We all know Dolly the sheep was cloned, not in I think it was 2002, I want to say, something like that. Kind of made worldwide headlines. People freaked out, the implications, the ethics, all this other stuff, right? But is it possible that somewhere in a secret lab, this has been going on anyway for a very long time, and they've maybe perfected it, and they've been able to, whoever they are, whether this is a military, a breakaway civilization, some sort of rogue operation, who knows? Whoever they are, maybe they've been doing this. And if they have, how long do you think it's been going on? I don't have the answers here. I don't even know where I stand on this. It seems creepy to me, first off. And second, it seems like I think technologically we're probably close to being able to do this. But, of course, if they're hiding technology from us, from the normal population, the useless eaters, right, the unwashed masses, the plebs, well, then we wouldn't know at all. This would all be done in secret and all the rest of that. So I can see how maybe, right? I'm definitely on the maybe train here. Drinking some maybe juice. But okay, so that's what we're doing tonight as we hang out and consider all these things. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and of course Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. So if you want to be part of the show one more time as we talk about human cloning and consider the prospect, is this real? And if it's real, how long has it been happening? And do you think that there are human clones walking around every day now? Meaning, let's say you go down to the store on Black Friday, you elbow some people to get the cheap deals, aisles, and maybe you elbowed a clone on the way in, right? Maybe a clone elbowed you. That's what I'm asking. Do you think that it's actually widespread, prevalent in the population, and maybe you work with a clone? Maybe you've seen a clone. I don't know. That's really the question here as we consider all these things. I have no idea. You tell me. So love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good friend Daryl in New York. Daryl, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Michael. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Go right ahead. Do you think that cloning is a thing, or do you think this is some sort of just gag that we're being put through by this Kid Buu guy and some of the rest of this stuff?
Well, you know, Dolly was cloned in 2002. In 2010, I remember listening to this show where this polo player was winning polo matches with a cloned horse. He kept cloning his horses, and he described them as identical carbon copies. It behaved just like the prior horse. It knew all of its, like it was like born knowing how this fellow rode it. And he would win polo matches one after another with the same horse that was cloned. His name was Adolfo Cambioso, and he's one of the top-ranked polo players in the world. And he won his team, La Delfina, to victory at the Palermo Open last weekend in Buenos Aires. And he just rides the same horse, genetically speaking. This horse is identical to the first horse that it was cloned from. And I think it cost $500,000 or $800,000 in 2010 to sell that cloned horse. Something like that. Or $150,000 a horse.
Okay, so...
something like this. So can you imagine, like, it's identical to if you lose your pet and you want your pet, if you have the money, you could just get that pet back, you know? Like, you love that Fluffy, you know? You could just clone it, and it's like it never died. It's going to have the same behavior. It's going to adopt the same personality, apparently. It's going to know what you like. It's going to know where to sleep in your arm. It's going to have its memories. You know, it's a clone. It's identical. It's even more so than a twin, I believe. It's more like the same thing than a twin would be, even. It's not even an identical twin. It's even more unique than that. It's identical.
Okay, Okay, so if that's true, the cloning the polo horse, right, meaning that they're identical in every way, then they'll train the same way, they'll do all the same things, and even physically be able to compete at a world-class level. That would suggest to me, if that part is true of that story, then it would make sense that they're able to do human clones. If they can do like an actual racehorse or a polo horse or some sort of like actual world-class athlete type of horse, then I'm going to say let's drink a little more maybe juice and say maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is pretty wild. What do you think about human clones? Do you think that this has been going on? Do you think that maybe they're actually out there in society right now? Or do you think this is a little too far out there science fiction style?
I don't think so at all. I think if you could clone a horse, I think the implications are incredible. I think, hold on a second. I'm going to just hang up on him. Like, let's say somebody has a miscarriage, or not even a miscarriage, they have a baby that dies, or a son that dies in an accident, for example. You know, like, God forbid, you know, that they can clone it, and like it's like it never happened. You know, that you get back that same exact identical human that lost its life accidentally. I think if you have the money, and this is the kind of thing that could have happened, you could, like Robert Bigelow, I think his whole thing with the, you know, looking into extraterrestrial and paranormal stuff was trying to replace his son that had been killed. You know, he was devastated over the loss of his son, and he wanted to somehow get his son back. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if someone like Bigelow would clone his son if it was possible. I'm surprised he hasn't, you know, considering all the money put into researching paranormal things, just to have some kind of contact with his son some way. You know, he wanted to communicate with his dead son, and he thought, you know, investing all this is like his what do you call it? His motivation for looking into all the paranormal stuff that, you know, he invested in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and of course, like even recently, right? We saw that Jeff Bezos, by the way, opened up a lab in California with basically an unlimited budget and some of the best scientific minds to do something like this. Whether it's transferring consciousness, or whether it's expanding lifespans past hundreds of years for humans, things like this. So I mean, we see that even now. A lot of these really influential and rich people are like, yeah, this is the next step. The next step is you made it. You got the billions of dollars. You have everything you want, but you can't have an unlimited life. It's all finite. We're all stuck in the same human experience. And so what are they trying to do? They're trying to throw their money at it and create something like this. So if they're actually working on these things, I would expect that it's possible. I think it's definitely possible. They're looking at it now. Who knows what they're doing behind closed doors in places like China, or who knows, maybe North Korea, or some of the kind of rogue nations that really don't care as much about human rights. Yeah, you never know. I think some of this stuff is going to be a little bit. I'll call it plausible. I'll drink some more maybe juice and say yeah, maybe for sure. What do you know about this company Clonaid and the Raelians? Have you ever heard this angle before?
I haven't heard, I didn't really follow it until you brought the subject up, and I remembered listening to that fellow talking about his cloned horse, and it's apparently it's not that uncommon to do this with animals. If you want to win polo, you have to get a cloned horse. Apparently, he's got such an unfair advantage almost even by using a clone. So, I don't know. I believe it's real. I totally believe it's real. Why wouldn't it be? If they can make cloned horses, why wouldn't they go the limit and totally, weaponize it, make a cloned army, like you said, make cloned body parts. I mean, there's terrible human right ramifications that could happen. I'm afraid, that's going to be a lot of room for messing this shit up, and then having revolutions with your clones. Maybe that's what we need,
Absolutely. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Appreciate it. What else you got for us?
Oh, I think that's about it. But I just wonder about the consciousness. That's, does that identical horse have that identical consciousness? Does that get transferred, It sounds like it has the same personality. It's personality consciousness. We don't really know where consciousness really is anyway. It's not in our brain. It's not in our physical. Is it in our physical body, or is it somewhere outside of it? We don't even know that. So it's very possible that it can be transferred.
All right.
That's the real question, I believe. Is the consciousness transferable? And maybe it is.
Yeah.
Or do you get some other roaming consciousness? Who knows? You pick up someone else's consciousness, but identical personality traits. I don't know. Very, something we don't know. We just don't know what consciousness or where it is, even within ourselves. Who knows if it's transferable?
Gotcha. All right. So, as you know, you're welcome to stay right where you're at. If you just mute up and stay right there, you can listen so you don't miss any of the action as we transfer from commercial time or whatever. So thank you so much for the call to Daryl in New York, and glad you're feeling better. You sound like you're getting back to health and good.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Appreciate the amazing take there. So, okay, the thing is this, right? We're talking about cloning human beings, right? And Daryl had some good points considering what happens to the consciousness. We've been talking about this, in terms of maybe the human soul. All right, and the scientific types that don't believe in the human soul would say that it's just genetically a clean slate. All right, and the consciousness wouldn't carry over. But what if we're talking about your actual soul or your consciousness or whatever it is you want to call it is sort of made whole by the DNA sequence, by that genetic, let's say, genetic individuality, all right? It's your source code, all right? And so if that's the case, if there was a source code situation going on and everybody's unique, what happens when no longer you are unique? Even identical twins aren't exactly, are they? And even if they are, well, genetically, they still turn out to be very different people in some cases, right? They don't do everything and the exact same thing. I don't know. And so that's the question tonight. So back to this Kid Buu fellow, and which started this whole conversation. Shout out to Bailey for linking this in the Discord last night. That kind of spawned the idea in my brain to do a show on this human cloning. Do you think this is real? Do you think this is possible? How long has this been going on? Those are the questions tonight. And what are the implications? There's a whole lot here, including consciousness, like Daryl described. Some people have said they would not have a soul, golems of some sort, as Matt says in the chat there. Who knows? I think that's the question of, well, you know, we can look to some of the fiction, and you see in Star Wars, right, the Clone Wars and the Clone Army and all the rest of this stuff. I don't know. I think there's some other things to this that are not just... as easy as, well, it's just a clean slate genetically, and this whole new person is a whole nother person. I'm not so sure. What are your thoughts on this? Love to hear your take, and we'll get back to Kid Buu and the Raelians in just a moment. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Let's hear what Kid Buu had to say one more time. Let's play this so you understand where this all came from. Kid Buu, he's a rapper being interviewed about his career, and he confesses that he's a clone. Here we go.
Kid Buu, welcome to Vlad TV.
Hello.
Making a lot of noise recently, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, everyone works towards that, you know, that video that goes viral. And it looks like you have like a nice little handful of them now. You know what I mean? It's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, I got my hands a bit full now, thanks to these accomplishments. Got a few more extra things in my hand I didn't quite anticipate, but it all comes with the territory, I suppose.
Of course. So, where'd you grow up?
South Florida.
Okay. I guess you were born in Jersey?
Yeah. Originally, my first gen. I'm a second gen now. That's why you see the celebrity bursts say I'm born in Toronto, but that's false. My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by Clonate in Canada. My model number is 0112568, if anyone wants to see the registration in Clonate.
Okay. So then you ended up in South Florida?
Yeah.
Okay. And what nationality are you?
Sicilian and Puerto Rican.
Okay. Sicilian and Puerto Rican. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that now.
Those are my two genomes.
Okay. So who's the Puerto Rican one? Who's the Sicilian one?
When I was cloned, they wiped a lot of memory, but when I stole the documents before escaping, I read that the mother was Puerto Rican and I guess the father, surrogate, you could say, was the sperm donor was the Sicilian.
Okay, so you were a test tube baby.
Yeah.
Okay, like we said in the beginning, right? When we played that the first time through, it seems like we got some plot holes here. If you've got a mother and a father genome, then you are not exactly a clone, are you? Not exactly a clone. I think there's something else to this. So, you know, plot holes aside, it's not our job to really determine whether this guy's telling the truth or not. But it is our job to consider the possibility that maybe this stuff is happening out there. Whether, again, you believe it's some sort of breakaway society, some sort of underground lab funded by some billionaire somewhere. I don't know, name the billionaire. Like I said, we already know Jeff Bezos is working on something similar here for extending life and all the rest of this, sort of being able to transfer consciousness. We know Bigelow's working on this, Robert Bigelow. So, I mean, of course, as always, right, even when you have all of the riches in the world, the next step becomes finding the fountain of youth. And doing that, well, and is practically a difficult chore, because what do? Do you extend your own lifespan, right, with an ever-failing body, because you're still locked into the same situation that we all are, right? You're still aging, and even if you can extend it, you're still going to end up even if you can live longer, you're still going to end up sort of at the wrong end of life, meaning that, your body is still failing, even if it's slower, what have you. But then again, right, there becomes this whole other thing with something like Jeff Bezos and these billionaire guys trying to find a way to maybe transfer consciousness. And then now we're talking, right? Because that means if you could transfer consciousness from one entity to another, that means that you could theoretically clone somebody, right? Clone your own DNA, make yourself a wee lad again, a young person again. We'll call it, as we started tonight, Mikey Strange, let's say. Let's say they cloned a small version of me as a baby. And there you are. Oh, so adorable. Oh, Mikey Strange. All right, I digress. But you get the point, right? Then, well, let's say I become an old man and, right, maybe you transfer my consciousness out of myself into this clone. So what in the world does that mean? So a couple implications here. If this is what's going on, or who knows, right? We'll get to another idea here in a sec, but the more like The Island with Ewan McGregor, Scarlett Johansson. But if you're transferring consciousness, what about the individual that's born? What about the clone? Do they have a soul? Are they their own individual person? People are saying in the chat, maybe golems, maybe they're unholy, they're this, that, the other thing. What if they're not? What if scientifically they're just like your twin and they're going to learn all the things? They just have your temperament, they look like you, and all the rest of that, right? Maybe that's the case. Well, but what happens then if, let's say, scientifically they are their own person? And you're using that individual to transfer your own consciousness into them, it means you're killing them, right? It means you're actually going to kill them by moving in this new brain, this new soul, this new, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't know. There's something strange to this, something odd, something that doesn't kind of fit. But then think about it in these terms. Let's say you could clone somebody, all right? And we know that we can do organ transfers and all this stuff now, transplants and, all the rest of this. So what if they're doing it like The Island? Have you ever seen that movie where they kind of have these clones purchased by the ultra wealthy? And they're kept in tip-top shape. They're exercising, they're eating the right stuff, they're keeping their body in perfect working order so that when that individual, the rich person that purchased the clone, needs, say a heart transplant or something, well, they just cut it out of the clone and slap it in, and there's a perfect genetic match, and boom, boom, boom. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure what to think of this other than probably technologically, I would think we're close. Again, they cloned Dolly the sheep, and so that's publicly. So it kind of makes me wonder what's actually happening in private, and that's what's on my mind tonight. That's the thought. We'll get to the Raelians in the last segment here on Fringe, but the idea is this: Clonaid is a company in Canada where they say they actually clone people. Do you believe that? Do you believe any of this is real? Do you believe it's a hoax? Do you believe it's some sort of publicity stunt? Do you believe in any of this? Or do you think that maybe it's a disinformation campaign for what's actually going on out there? Or somewhere in between? Any of the above ideas or anything I haven't mentioned yet? As you know, we like to drink the maybe juice on this show. We like to consider all the things as possible. So what do you think? Are human clones actually walking the earth right now? And if so, how long has this been going on? Love to hear your thoughts on this as we keep on trucking, talking about Kid Buu, talking about, that's right, cloning people in Canada and elsewhere, and all the rest of this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More cloning and the Raelians when we return. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls tonight as we talk about human cloning. Do you think this is actually real? What's going on with this? Kid Buu seems to have hinted that he's an actual clone. Is this a big troll? Is this a joke? Is this some sort of psyop? Is it just a way to laugh at us for considering it to be real? You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good friend Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. How are you tonight?
Good. How you doing?
Doing very well. Go right ahead. What do you think about all this cloning stuff? Real or just a big gag?
I'm really glad you're doing it. Well, you know, there's so much with it. You know, we see, like Daryl was talking about the horses, and then they've shown the dogs several times that people are cloning dogs. When I saw that, that was a really big moment, like in my mind about this. And I started looking into it, and I think a lot of people, you know, feel the same way who have looked into the cloning thing. And it's beyond just unbelievably deep and weird. When you think about this kid Boo, for example, like, I don't know, you know, I can't be sure. Nobody can be really sure. He could be just pulling everybody's leg for sure. But he could even be referencing to the first primary, like him, like talking about the donors. He could be saying he thinks the donors, and he's talking about, if he's the clone, then he's talking about the original's parents who may have created a test tube baby, and then he's cloned from that. There's a because he said generation down. And the whole cloning conspiracy, there's a lot of talk about that there were first generation, second generations, and the first, you know, different generations of clones didn't do so well. And then some, they got better and better and better. If they're doing mammals, other mammals, then I don't think it is too far-fetched to say that they could be doing people. I'd like to think that it's not, that they're not doing it. I would love to think that. The idea that they might be doing it, or that they have done it, or they've done it to the max, terrifies me. Like, it's one of the scariest conspiracies I've ever heard. I don't know why, but it really freaks me out. And when I was looking into it, I came across somebody named Donald Marshall. He's a big figure in this whole thing. And what he says is just unbelievable. And beyond all that, though, that's something people can look up on their own or something. But just the concept that these people have everyone's DNA, like if you've ever gone to have blood drawn or done anything like that, the very idea that they have everyone's blood, and then that there's a conscious link to that blood. And if they use that blood to create a clone, then you have the idea that technically your consciousness could be aware of it and linked to it. And so people may even somewhat experience, if they have a clone of some individuals, or God forbid, several individuals, you know, that are unaware of it in their conscious day-to-day life. And the clones are being used for who knows what. And the actual primary is subconsciously maybe in sleep state or something to that effect, which has been referenced to with the Donald Marshall stuff. Then they may become aware of it at times and see some of the events that are actually happening, not to themselves, but to their clone. And kind of like they can even kill the clone of the original. And the original, you know, has basically a bad nightmare or a strange feeling the same day or the following day. It's incredibly weird. And frankly, just horrifying.
Yeah, this is it is a weird one because, right, if they're doing it, clearly they're not sanctioned to be doing this by, right, like any ethical government anyway. But I mean, it is creepy to think that maybe you have been cloned. How would you know? You wouldn't even know. You know, right? Like, go ahead.
There's talk about how you might know. And this is what I'm saying. I'm so glad you did it. But at the same time, this is deep conspiracy weird because it's so. At first blush, it's completely goofy and like something we should immediately dismiss. But when you start looking into it, supposedly, if you're, for example, not being cloned, like they took a dead person and cloned them from the DNA or somebody who's fixing to die or something like that, if you're actually a living person who happens to have a clone, the theory goes something like that you, in a sleep state, in a in a REM sleep state, the consciousness can become aware if the clone has been activated. So basically, the bodies of these clones are kind of in a sleep state, unactivated, but alive, almost like a comatose vegetable. When you're in a REM sleep, and if they decide to, which somehow they can do this, and this goes into the whole alien thing, if they decide to activate that clone through some godforsaken ability through this alien idea of what they're doing when it comes into the alien aspect of it. They somehow transfer the consciousness of the sleeping prime, and I'm just going to keep calling it that because I don't know what to call it, the original copy. They take the consciousness while it's in that state of REM sleep, and they transfer it over into the clone, and the clone comes awake. Essentially, is like the theory, kind of, I think. And so people who have been cloned will see themselves in these absurd circumstances, and sometimes, and he made references to several types of circumstances, and they're used for all kinds of spectacles. And his running theory, and a lot of the running theories on some of this really deep clone stuff, is that they are cloning prolifically, like that they are doing it at will with any DNA at all, because the human they no longer are owned, they're part of a corporation. So there's all this weird stuff in it. And it's freaky. It's one of for me, thinking about this conspiracy theory is beyond any other conspiracy theory, really just makes me so uncomfortable, because they are cloning the mammalians, the other mammalians, the dogs and horses, as Daryl said, and I'm sure anything they want. And if they can do that, then I think with some of these scientists, I don't think it's beyond them that they've been doing, that they would try to do it, possibly succeed, not tell anyone that, like us, but are aware of it all amongst themselves. And it goes also, too, into that whole, they talk about the Black-Eyed Club and tie it into that. And because everybody's noticed that thing. But, I mean, people get a black eye. It's no big deal. But he goes into explaining about why, like that Donald Marshall guy talking about why. And he ties in an alien corner to it. And it's just ooh. You know? It's just one of those things. I mean, I could talk about aliens and demons and consciousness and string theories and all that stuff. But this cloning thing, I can talk about it because I've really been interested in it. But it is one of the ones that really just, it'll keep you up at night if you get too into it, honestly, because it's just too strange. Because he's insinuating that it's not just these celebrities per se, or people who have lost a loved one or something. But if they are capable of it, that they may be taking it from the general public, some DNA. And I don't know. And you may even, by some kind of circumstance or synchronicity, even run into other people who have been cloned that you've seen at these certain Coliseum cloning centers, or some got like underground or something. It's a huge conspiracy theory thing, incredibly fringe topic, and extremely, there's a lot of nooks and corners, and it's very elaborate. And I played around with it for a while, but it was just, ooh. When you're done, you're just like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to believe this one, but I think it's one of those ones that I can't think of a reason of all the other conspiracies why I wouldn't believe this one. And so it makes me very uncomfortable to think about these sleeping clones tucked away somewhere, being transported from one location to the other, and then activated by the consciousness of not dead people, but like living average, citizens, who knows where,
Yeah, totally. Imagine carrying around like a group of cloned humans in the back of a truck like they were cattle or something.
Tractor trailer.
My goodness
like
gracious.
A tractor trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Sitting like Indian style asleep, sloped over in like a crate, being transported to sleeping.
Yeah.
Because they're not dead. They don't go dead. They're an organism that doesn't have any kind of consciousness activating it. So they're almost like a vegetative state, like a coma. And so they transport them, It's ooh.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's creepy. I agree 100%.
But that would be the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty wild. So what are your thoughts then? Do you think this is happening? If you had to put, just say $1 down on this, would you say 51% yes or 51% no?
Oh, it's so bad when I think it's not happening. I just don't want to believe that at all. But when I saw the dogs, I was like, dogs, too close to home. And it's like, if you have it, and they have a similar personality and everything. No, if I was betting, I would say that they probably have been like, hey, since we have, all this funding, sometime way back when. They're like, wouldn't it be a great idea to do this? Did it. And I think that it would not be, it's not a stretch. It's not a stretch beyond the imagination at all. If you've cloned something as complex as any creature, any mammalian at all, to make a little reach and clone some people and maybe not get it right the first several times, but get it right enough, for whatever your nefarious intentions are to do with those clones.
Right, exactly.
So I don't want to be committal. I don't want to be committal because it's like, oh, I don't know. I'd like to think, no, this is absurd. Of course you're not doing that. But I can't really brace myself to I don't know. I can't commit to saying that they're not doing it. I definitely don't want to think that they're doing it, but it just it's one of those things. It seems like they're doing it. You know what I mean?
I think technology-wise, right? So if you think okay, humans have created anti-gravity tech and advanced propulsion, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. But if you're like they've cloned people, I'm like, yeah, probably. Right? I think they're.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
If they've done the animals,
right.
That's basically the same. I mean, not much. It's very complicated. A veterinarian can treat a human being. I mean, it's not much different.
Right.
And so I just really didn't care for that when I saw the little cheapoo. The woman's like, we just really missed Marley with the Labrador.
And here's
and
clones.
Now they have it back. I don't know. Yeah.
It's creepy.
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the phone call. You were the best. Jennifer has a YouTube channel. Please give her a follow. Scroll down, link in the description. Jennifer, you're the best. Thank you so much for the call tonight. Have a fantastic night.
You too. Bye.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Looking to hear from you. 702-957-1037 if you want to be part of the discussion tonight. We're talking about human cloning. Do you think this is actually possible? We got a phone call here. Let's take this real quick, and we'll keep on trucking. We're going to talk about the Raelians in just a second here. How this all fits. Somehow this all fits into the Raelian movement, right? All right. Now, it gets wild. Truth is stranger than fiction. 702-957-1037. I think this is, let's see, it looks like Dawn. Let's see. Let's go. So, Dawn, you are on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hi, not too bad. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you for calling.
Topic.
Thank you. What do you think? What's your take on this?
I have no doubt that they've been cloning. I don't have absolute proof, but I'm pretty sure they've been cloning since the 80s. There are businesses all over the world that are cloning cats and dogs and cattle and horses and this and that. In China, what was it, 10 years ago, they took the two little twin girls and adjusted their genetic lineage so that they could fight off AIDS better.
That is true. CRISPR babies. Yep. Designer babies.
Yep.
100%
I have
true.
no doubt that they're cloning.
Yeah, it seems plausible, doesn't it? And even likely, like I was just saying to Jennifer, technology-wise, we're there. We're doing it already. It's like, and this is the bizarre upside down we always talk about on this show. It's like, wait, so you mean to tell me we're like literally cloning mammals all over the place, right? All different species, but we're not cloning people? Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
Like, come on, people.
Yeah.
You know there are Bill Gates types all over the world that are like, oh, let's do this. This will be fun. Not even a thought for the moral or ethical. Just because they're crazy and they can.
Yeah. Rich and crazy, and they can. Many things have been done with a lot less motivation than that, for sure.
Exactly.
And fantastic stuff. What else you got? What other takes you got on this? Anything else for us?
Not really, other than I think that it's been used in politics, not just celebrities, but in politics. And I got, what I do wonder is how many generations of clones there are.
Ah, yes. Yes. When you start thinking in terms of
That's my curiosity.
Exactly. If this is happening, how long has this been happening? And we're talking about second generation, third generation clones. What does that even mean? Pretty wild stuff. Pretty wild stuff. This is Dawn from the Fringe, right? From the Fringe Discord.
He loves or Syzygy.
Right on. Yeah, yeah.
And Beyond the Fringe.
Okay, right on. Perfect. Just checking, making sure I know who's who. First time caller, I appreciate you calling in and being part of this show. Thank you for listening. And what else you got?
I'm going to get off the phone here and listen to you all.
Okay, perfect.
Blessings, all, everyone.
Perfect. I appreciate you calling. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Don. There you go. Simple as that. 702-957-1037. We got another call here we'll get to in just a sec. Now, this is the thing, right? I'm gonna tell you, run through this Raelian stuff real quick. This is straight from the Wikipedia, right? The Ministry of Truth, I'd like to call them. This is wild, all right? This is the actual Wikipedia of Clonaid, the company we're talking about. Look at this. This is wild. Let's see. June 9th, 1997, Clonaid stated its intention to offer infertile, homosexual, and or infertile couples the chance to have a genetically identical child and take a step toward immortality. According to the internet announcement, the Raelian leader and a group of investors found a company in the Bahamas and called it Valiant Venture Ltd., whose project mission was named Clonaid. Oddly, right, so that the Raelian leader, we're going to get to that in a sec, but we have some weirdness here. Valiant Venture. Everybody remember Valiant Thor the Alien? I wonder if there's some connection here. Anyway, so responses by scientists, according to cloning specialist and physiologist George Seidel of Colorado State University, cloning a human being would not be difficult if many people donated their eggs or offered their wombs for implantation of clone embryos. Okay, not be difficult, he said, all right? An actual scientist that says, yeah, probably, we could do this. So in spring of 2001, the Food and Administration Office of Criminal Investigations inspected Clonaid's lab in the small city of Nitro in West Virginia. Nitro is the way that's spelled. It was located inside a rented room within a former high school. Staff scientists reviewed the lab's research documentation and found them inadequate. The work of a graduate student extracting ovum from cow ovaries from a slaughterhouse. The FDA said that the equipment in the lab was state-of-the-art and has been bought by Mark Hunt, a former West Virginia state legislator. Weird politics in this. And so, anyway, who wanted to clone his 10-month-old son, Andrew, who died in 1999 due to congenital heart disease. Following investigations of the West Virginia lab, Mark Hunt made an agreement with the FDA not to clone his dead son within the United States. Of course, the key there being within the United States. All right, here we go. On Friday, this continues. This is from Clonaid, the cloning company. On Friday, December 22nd, 2002, Bosselier, a Raelian bishop and the CEO of Clonaid, announced at a press conference in Hollywood, Florida, that Clonaid had successfully performed the first human reproductive cloning. Bosselier said that the mother-delivered Eve was the name of this baby by C-section somewhere outside the United States, and that both were healthy. Dr. Bosselier did not present the mother or child or DNA samples that would allow for confirmation of her claim at the press conference. It has subsequently become apparent that she announced the birth before genetic testing to evaluate whether the child in question was actually a clone. All right, it gets even more weird. So she is, again, the CEO and also a Raelian bishop, right? All right. Raelian bishop. What does that mean? Okay. Well, check this out. You want to know what a Raelian is? Yeah, that's right. It's a UFO religion, is the Raelians. Here, let me do this real quick. You can't even make this stuff up, right? This is how bizarre all this turns into. Raelianism is a UFO religion that was founded in the 1970s by Claude Vorilhon, and also known as Rael. We'll just refer to him as that from now on. Scholars of religion classify Raelism as a new religious movement. The group is formalized as the International Raelian Movement, or Raelian Church, a hierarchical organization under Rael's leadership. Raelism teaches that an extraterrestrial species known as the Elohim, right? Does that sound familiar to anybody? Created humanity using their advanced technology. An atheistic religion, it believes that the Elohim have historically been mistaken for gods. It claims that throughout history, the Elohim have created 40 human and Elohim hybrids, of course, alien hybrids, who have served as prophets, preparing humanity for news about their origins. All right. And the craziest part is that, yep, this is true, and you can actually still join this movement now. And these are the people that are supposedly doing this with yeah, they're cloning people apparently. So they told that senator that he cannot actually clone his son, his dead son, in the United States. So what do you think happened? Let's just put two and two together and assume that, well, it wasn't allowed here, so they did it elsewhere, right? And back then, there were people that said specifically, scientists that said, yeah, you know, if we had the proper people, you know, donating the proper, you know, whatever we needed, then yeah, we could do this. So, what's going on with this? Here's your Raelian movement. The Raelian movement International is the largest UFO religion in the world, currently numbering around 45,000 members with branches in 52 countries. It was founded by a Frenchman, Claude Vorilhon, however you say that, Rael, in 1976. This guy wrote about his encounter with an extraterrestrial during a walk in the volcanic Clermont-Ferrand mountain range. This Eloha, or Elohim, from the planet Elohim, gave him his name Rael, R-A-E-L, and taught him the true meaning of the Bible. Okay, all right. Anyway, there it is. As we finish this up, like I said, some stories, the truth seems to be stranger than fiction. So not only do we have the question of whether cloning is real and happening with this Kid Buu claim, then we also have, on top of that, an actual UFO religion known as the Raelians that supposedly are behind this clonade and this human cloning thing. So, well, where it's been smacked down in the United States, what do you think happened regarding, well, what happened when they left the United States? And that's what's going on here. That's what's on my mind tonight. That's what makes a troubled mind, and what in the world is going on with this. So as we finish, you guys know the drill. We do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on The Fringe at 7 p.m. Pacific. And of course, well, we do a couple hours, and then we do a third hour off The Fringe and keep on trucking, talking about this stuff. So if you're listening to us on The Fringe FM tonight, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds as we continue talking about Raelians, cloning. That's right. And you still taking your phone calls. And as we finish on the radio tonight, you know how this ends. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. All right, we are off of The Fringe. Here's what we got going tonight. Still talking about this cloning bit. What's going on? Do you think human cloning is a thing? What about the Raelians? What about Kid Buu? What about all of this? Is this really happening? If you can clone a mammal, you can clone a human. If they're cloning humans, what the hell is really going on out there? You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll be right back with you, taking phone calls and feeling, well, strange, weird, odd about the conversation, because what does it mean? What are the implications and all the rest of this? What's up, Algo? I see you there. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Joseph on the phone. I see you. I had to get through some things real quick at the end there to round it out for the radio audience, but get to you in just a second. So 2-minute break, more Troubled Minds coming up, and we'll get right back to Joseph here in Iowa. And what are your thoughts? What is going on with this human cloning, and do you think it's real, or do you think it's a bunch of BS? All right, more Troubled Minds coming up. 2-minute break, 2 minutes, more Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I am your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we're talking about cloning. Not just cloning Dolly the sheep or your favorite Fluffy or whatever the dog's name is or whatever the horse, whatever, nothing like that. Sure, mammals, we all know mammals have been cloned. There's even services where you can clone your own pet after death, right, or right around it to give you Fluffy back. Well, the question tonight isn't about that because clearly that's a thing. And really, other than straight up, I don't know. I'm not sure who would deny that at this case, but, well, that's true. They're actually cloning pets and animals and other mammals and all the rest of this. So the question becomes, well, what about people? What about people? And if they're still cloning people, what's going on with that? If they did, at what point do you think they started? And, well, what is this all about? We're going to get to the Raelians and more of that in just a bit, but we're talking about Clonade. We're talking about Kid Buu and how he claimed to be a second-generation clone, and, well, all the rest of this. So still looking to hear from you, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's get back to Joseph in Iowa. Hey, thanks for being patient with me. I had to get through some information there. Kept you waiting on the phone. Welcome back to the show, my man. How are you?
Hey, I want to talk about like an experience that made me kind of think in the past that I possibly was cloned or died and brought back to life. And it's pretty short. It's like a little poem. It's basically, I got hit by a rock out of a slingshot, and the last thing I remember was going into the freezer. So like when I was a kid, I played with this 300-yard water balloon slingshot. And we would shoot these boulders, these rocks out of them, which is pretty stupid. But it came back one time and hit me. And, like, I was thinking that's kind of like if they were able to transfer consciousness, it's not like you would know you're going to be cloned because you just died and everything. It would feel like you're about to die and then life continues somehow.
That's pretty wild. So how old were you when this happened?
Oh. Pretty young, like elementary school.
Okay. And so you do remember being brought into a freezer? Did you actually go out cold? You were unconscious?
No, I remember opening the freezer, and then like the memory's fuzzy because it's so long ago, but
okay, that's pretty wild. So
I remember opening because there was an outside, like I ran to the garage. I told my friend to call the police. He disappeared into the house, and like I opened the freezer, and then like that was like the end of the vividness of the memories.
Okay, that's pretty wild, man. So
and it hit me dead in the chest, like dead in the chest.
Okay, all right. And so you've actually had some other experiences that you shared with us. If that's the case, do you think it's all related somehow? Maybe. So you think that maybe your consciousness was transferred into a clone, and you think maybe you passed away at a young age. So if that's the case, well, how would you know? I think that's the scary part that we're talking about tonight, right? Is that if this technology is available somehow, and they figured out how to maybe transfer consciousness at all in any capacity, things like this become possible.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think people would pay for that.
Hell yeah, people would pay for that. Hell yeah, they're spending billions of dollars right now to figure that stuff out. So hell yeah, people would pay for that. I mean, that's what they're doing, right? Steve wants to know, question, what kind of freezer? Do you remember? Can you describe the freezer?
It was like an outdoor freezer, like a big one, like a full body could fit in it kind of freezer. Like the garage. It was in the garage.
Okay, so you
and the rock was big enough to knock me off my feet. Like it was probably the size of like 2 fists.
Wow, yeah, that's a big rock, dude. Holy smokes. Okay, do you have how about this? Did it leave a mark? Do you have a scar currently or something like that? Did it actually leave any sort of damage to you? No, nothing like that.
No, I think there was. I don't. It hit me like right where the heart, like right where your heart is, and it hit hard. Like it was crazy. It was one of them 400-yard slingshots. I mean, it's just an experience. I don't want to take up too much time here.
Okay, all good. I appreciate you sharing.
I'm just saying that's like that's kind of how it could feel to be cloned. Like you wouldn't know. It'd be like dodging death. Like
Exactly, right? Especially if they can transfer consciousness somehow. Like on a deathbed, they move it over and tell you, you made it, man. Good job. We survived. Welcome back. How the hell would you know? Right? They dispose of the old...
or like
body.
everyone around you is just like, are you okay? Like, or like, what's reality? I don't even know at that point. Like, can they place you in reality at that moment as a different path or something like that? You know, that's a completely different, you know?
Yeah, other different rabbit holes, definitely different rabbit holes, that one. Good stuff. As always, appreciate your phone call. Thank you for sharing your experience. That's what this is all about, getting together and talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
You're the man. Appreciate it, my man. We'll talk to you soon. That's Joseph in Iowa. Have a great night, bro. All right. There it is. You want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. A couple things here, right? I was looking into some of this other stuff. Like we've talked about in the past, right? Is it possible? Clearly, you'd have to have some sort of artificial womb, right? Unless you had, actual carriers, right? Volunteer carriers, just like they have surrogates now. That sort of thing. But I would imagine if you were going to create like an army or a group of these clones, human clones, you would have to have something like this. And this is from flow.health. Yeah, that's right. Artificial womb for humans, a step forward in survival for premature babies. But what about from the moment of conception? I think that's what we're talking about. So this is about artificial wombs, the artificial uterus, all kinds of other stuff, right? So they're using these technologies now, currently. But the question is, right, can you do this literally from the point of conception? Of course, it would be a petri dish conception, wouldn't it? And this cloning ability, I don't know. You tell me. How do you feel about this? Does this make you feel weird? It makes me feel a little weird thinking about it, talking about it. Because think about it, when this happens, do you think they'll tell us? That's the question, right? Do you think they'll be like, oh, yay, we did it. We cloned a person. Remember that dude in China that was doing something kind of similar with those CRISPR babies? They ran him off. He ended up in hiding and tried to arrest him and all kinds of this other stuff. Or who knows? Maybe that was all staged and they were allowing him, or he was the fall guy for something. Who knows? But this stuff is probably happening. If it's not happening, they're certainly trying it. And I'm pretty much certain of that. Okay, we're just hanging out talking about this stuff, taking your phone calls. What do you think about human cloning? You think this is actually happening? 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, Robert? Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Fine. How are you?
Doing very well. Go right ahead. What do you think about
I'm hearing
cloning?
myself over.
Okay, let's see if I can fix that. Yes, I can. All right, go right ahead, sir.
Okay, maybe that's what that Jeffrey Epstein was doing on his ranch out there. What is it, in New Mexico?
Yes. Yep. That's just one of them too.
I mean, he was. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, this topic has given me a great idea for I'm hearing myself.
Okay.
I'm hearing myself back on the phone.
Okay, I'm not sure I can fix it. I've clicked all the buttons. Sorry, man. If you want to call back and try that.
I'll just ignore myself.
Okay, there you go. Ignore the Robert clone.
Right. Anyway, this topic, this show tonight has given me a heck of an idea for a short story or a novel. All right. Let's look at the premise. One. You can't transfer consciousness into a clone because consciousness is an ethereal thing, all right? But that doesn't mean you can't accomplish the same thing. Let's say this is a story that the Robert's writing, all right? And here's this rich man, all right? And he has a clone made of himself, all right? And he's raising the clone as his own son, all right? But at a particular age, he's taken into an operating room, and his son's the so-called son's brain is transferred out, and the rich man's brain is transferred into what was supposed to be the son. All right, now that's where the memories are all at. in the brain. That's the hard drive. That's the disk, but it's not the only one. All right. There's also memory storage, a second brain that's in the gut. All right. So what has to happen is that once the brain is transplanted into the young man, then it takes time for those memories to course through the nerves throughout the system, reach that second brain in the gut, and reprogram it too. And then you have accomplished exactly what that rich man wanted. He is now, let's say he's 22-year-old, all right, all over again with the same memories as he had when he was 99 or whatever age he is. That's how it would work. What do you think?
Yeah, so interesting. So it would be sort of a parasitic process, right? So it's not like you snap your fingers and bing, bing. It's like doing magic. It's like it's sort of seeping down through the neurons and into all the cells, this new identity. I love it, man. I love it. And think about how horrific it would feel in that moment, however long it takes, if it's hours, days, weeks, or months, being somebody, but having something course through your veins that's not you, but it's slowly taking over. I love it, dude. I love it. I'm buying that book. 100%.
He was even at temporary amnesia, right after the transplant took place. But over time, those memories would circulate, and he would, and it would be like he is who he was. All the memories, all the experiences, and everything. Right now, and then they could have the old man die, or claim that they were trying to do emergency surgery and an old man died, and of course he willed all of his wealth to his clone son. It's perfect. I'm going to write that thing.
There you go. It's coming. Let us know when it's done. Love to have it. Love to read it. So what do you think then about this in particular? Do you think this is really happening now, or do you think this is just science fiction type stuff?
Oh, of course it's happening. Of course it's happening. Of course it's happening in secret somewhere. All right. The question is, who's party to it? All right, and it couldn't. And, is it DARPA? Is it the military-industrial complex? Is it Dr. Fauci? Dr. Fauci. I wouldn't doubt he'd be involved in that. All right, but certainly the technology is there. It's been there for a long time. But the question has always been: you can create a clone of yourself, which I'm sure they can do even today, and they probably are doing it, but you cannot give that clone the same experiences that you had. All right, when you were growing up, you took your bike, you fell off your bike. All those things that you were, that those things that you had to get through life made you who you are right now. All right, all those experiences. But the clone wouldn't have those experiences. The only way the clone would have those experiences if the brains were swapped out. And according to the way I was describing it earlier, that's how it would work. That's the only way it could work.
Makes sense to me. To me. Yes,
they're doing this.
They're doing this.
They're doing this. They're not just leaving off with pets and sheep. They're doing this. They're also doing some even more sinister things, like trying to create hybrid animals, humans. I mean, it's like science. It's like those old '50s mad scientist movies, And like you said on a show some time back, just because you can do it, should you? All right? There's no ethics involved in here. You pour enough money into something, morality goes right out the window. All right? And I think that maybe those mythologies of centaurs and other animal hybrid humans may have actually been true. Maybe back in Lemura or back in Atlantis or whatever. All right? They had that technology. They used it. All right? And it's just that once those civilizations were gone, and we forgot about it. It's just all in the mythological literature. But if we're doing it now, they did it 500 million years ago.
Right. I like the centaurs. I love it. I want a horseman. Can I have a horseman?
What's a horseman?
I gotta know. Do you think a centaur likes to eat apples, or do you think that's probably just a raw stereotype?
I think he probably likes to eat apples because he's got a horse's memory in him, I guess. I don't know. but my God, there's some horrible things that are going on in secret in the world. And I'm not one of those people that are looking for some kind of, conspiracy, dead of the night type of, but it's going on because they can do it. And if they can do it, they do it.
Exactly.
That simple.
Yeah, like ethics aside, I agree with you. You pour enough money into something and they're like, ethics who? What are you talking about? Let's do this. They're paying, we're doing. And again, right there in that Wikipedia for the Raelians and this Clonade thing, they said that it was an actual House member of the Virginia state of Virginia, I believe is what they said. West Virginia, I can't remember which one, but basically he wanted to clone his dead son. And they told him, nope, you can't do it here. They're going to prosecute him. He agreed not to do it here in the States. So what do you think happened?
I can sympathize with that man. All right, because my first daughter died when she was three days out of the. Well, it was a horrible, most horrible time, and even now I can't deal with that, even thinking about it. But if I would have been very rich back in those days, and there was that thing to do, I might have tried that myself.
Why not, right? Why not? It's a second chance.
So I sympathize with that man. I really do.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like it does make sense in a lot of these ways that why wouldn't we be doing it? And again, this is way back in right around the year 2000. Scientists said, yeah, hell yeah, we can do this. I mean, it's just about having the right equipment, the right funding, the right donors, the right this, the right that. And, well, I think when you're talking about, like you said, throw enough money at something and things get done, don't they?
Yes, they get done, and it's really that simple. If you have the money, it can be done. It's being done.
Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. What else you got for us? What other thoughts on this?
Well, that's it. That's. I just wanted to hear what you thought about it, and you explained your position on that pretty good. So I'm ready to. I finished that last piece of pumpkin pie.
Nice.
And I'm going to sit back and listen to the rest of the show.
Right on. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Robert is a writer. He's got a book. Scroll down the link in the description. Give this man some love. Thank you. Thanks for calling, bro. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. And he hates when I do that, but I do it anyway because he helps a lot with the show and some ideas. And like I said, this is not about competing. It's about succeeding together. So there you go. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. We're talking about human cloning. Do you think this is possible? If possible, how long do you think they've been accomplishing this, pulling this off, and doing all the rest of these things? Still taking your phone calls. Let's go to our good buddy Mike in Colorado. Algorithm. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good, Michael Strange. How are you, sir?
Doing very well. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for the fantastic show on Saturday. Had a fantastic time. And like you said...
That was pretty fun.
That was pretty fun. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on cloning? Do you think this is really happening? Do you think this is just some science fiction BS?
Yeah, so let's do a real quick reverse engineering. Okay, right? So for the most part, the ARPANET came online in 1969 for what most people say is the first computer transmission from modem to modem. 1976, Queen Elizabeth did her first email. 1980, 84, the cyberspace was coined a term. 1994, Yahoo was created, Netscape was created. I think somewhere around there, 94, 93, the White House and United Nations were online, 1993-ish. So the point being that from way back in the 60s, they were working on the internet as known as the ARPANET, and they let it out in the public at a certain date. So when they cloned Dolly the sheep in 1996 and they let that out to the public as well, I'd be guessing they've been working on it since the 40s or 50s. And think about your computer technology from 1996 to today. Absolutely, they're cloning humans somewhere, either in Nevada or the desert of Utah, possibly Colorado. They may be shipping them under DIA, but if people can't see the timeline connection and the reverse engineering of all the technology, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it sure seems like this is, again, we talk about a lot of science fiction and all kinds of kind of like I said, navel gazing and, the artificial simulation that we possibly live in, base reality, like all this like kind of out there stuff, right? And that's out there. I'll give it that. But this one in particular, right? The technology is there. We're doing this to other mammals now. Like you said, Dolly the sheep, you can clone your little pet Fluffy now. And it's like a legitimate service, legitimate like businesses. They're doing these damn things. So I will be damned if they're not doing this somewhere in secret. I think you're right. How long and what the scope is, who knows? Are we talking like Star Wars Clone Wars type of thing where they're just creating like super soldier type stuff, CRISPR babies and clones and the Clone Wars and all the rest of this? How deep do you think this goes?
I bet they're scared of them. I bet they're terrified of them, only because the humans that I know who develop something that is more powerful than them, they're frightened of. I mean, even a handgun, until you learn how to use a handgun, people are scared of them. So I bet that the cloners are really keeping it slow and low key, and they'll make some celebrities and they'll make a lot of money and they'll say, okay, that one worked, but that other one didn't. And so as far as like full on Clone War, ready to invade, we've seen no evidence of that. And I generally think that anytime a man or a woman has more technology than they have mastery over, they're terrified of it.
Okay. So they're but they're doing it. So what are they using it for then? So they're terrified of the output. So what's going on? So what do you think is actually happening then?
Well, yeah, I think they're really scared of what they're capable of. But when there's a circumstance where a person dies, like when Ringo or no, who was it? Paul. When Paul died, they had to substitute it for another man. But now, if Britney goes off the rails, they can throw a clone up and still make money and still generate the propaganda or the mind control that they want over those people. So I think they're probably using it more of as in a mental space as opposed to a physical domination space.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think the thing is, too, this all goes back to how long this has been happening, right? Because we're talking about transferring consciousness and all kinds of like out there stuff. But like you said, if this stuff is happening in secret and then they roll it out to the public as a service, right? They clearly would have to have been practicing this for some time. So I don't know, like were we talking maybe back to the 40s, back to the 50s, right? When did they, I mean, we saw they grafted a second head on a dog in Russia in the 60s, and that dog with two heads lived for like a week, right? Or something like that. I mean, if they're trying crap like that, I mean, come on, it's for real. How long do you think it's been happening?
I bet they started after World War II. They probably started post World War II, and they probably made some progress mid to late 50s, and then they cloned some cells in the 60s, and then they started just experiment. By the 90s, they cloned a sheep, right? You can eat mutton. You don't know the difference. 1996, that was a long time ago, relatively speaking, with technology. And, yeah, I bet they've been doing it for a long time. And I think we may catch glimpses of it. I don't think they have a clone army. I don't think they need to. Because, I mean, you know as well as I do, this realm entirely exists in the mind of everybody. So if you control the mind, you don't even need to control the physical body.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. So it makes me wonder then, other than sort of transferring of consciousness, what good is it for? Because they've kind of proved politically, over a long scale here, not even the last 100 years, longer than that, quite a bit longer than that, that human flesh and bone is cheap, right? As long as you can manipulate the masses to do what you want and start a war, people are going to fight for you. You don't even have to really do anything. They just, get whooped up in it and say, give me a sword. Who do I cut? So it makes me wonder, like, they can already manipulate people to kill each other. So what would be the benefit other than something nefarious like transferring your brain into a younger body at some point, right?
Well, yeah, for their own individual purpose. To me, it reminds me of the Nissan Maxima back in the late 80s. They built a car that told you your lights were on and your door was open, and it was a novelty at best. And Eddie Murphy did a great joke a bit way back then about your lights are on, and do it in a black voice. But it was a novelty of technology that turned out to not be useful in the grand scheme. And I'd wager that their clone novelty is probably just that, for all the reasons you stated. We can wipe each other out with a mind virus. We can cause people to smoke. We can cause people to take a medical device in their body with a mind virus. We don't really need clones. So it may be just one of those fringe kind of, when they get bored, a celebrity dies, they clone them and just watch the people think it's the same one. It could be something like that.
Yeah, and that's actually a fantastic point. Like if you had a young, super famous person pass away, if you were able to cover that up somehow and then recreate it, you're putting tens of millions of earnings back on the table for whoever pulled off that stunt. Yeah, that's pretty wild, man, to think of it in terms of kind of keeping the zeitgeist window open for earnings based on the popularity of somebody. That's nuts, man. That's again, right? Like,
right on.
Right? Follow the money. Always follow the money, right? Like Robert said there just before you. if there's money involved, people are willing to do it, and that's definitely money in that instance. Yeah, pretty wild.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Great show as always. I'm moving on. Somebody else can call in. Appreciate what you do, and we'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a great night. Thanks for calling. That's Algorithm, Mike in Colorado. Follow him. Link is all the way down in the description below. Actually, scroll down to the bottom of the YouTube channel. I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat as well so you guys can give him a follow. I was on his show on Saturday, and we had a nice talk and wide-ranging all over the damn place. Definitely, Mike is a fun guy, and you should go give him a follow if you're just hearing about him for the first time. So I don't know. I think, there you go. What's up? Bernays says in the chat, Walt Disney died in 1966, and I've heard this before. There are these types of conspiracies, right? And so the thing is, right, like our good buddy Axel Steele, I don't know if you're out there, we were talking about this at some point in the past, meaning that do we have the technology to actually grow a baby from conception all the way to term outside of the womb, right? Clearly we can do the petri dish thing and make sure they're fertilized, probably remove the DNA and replace it and do all the rest of that stuff, right? That's all there. That's all a thing for sure. They do it with in vitro and all that stuff now. But, right, the question is, can you do this from conception to term in a device like this? This is from fastcompany.com, and this is way back in 2017. Look at this. This crib is designed to grow babies outside the womb. The provocative concept presented at the Biodesign Challenge Summit may not be as far-fetched as it sounds. And there we go. That's the thing. That's exactly what's going on with that. Here we go. This is short and sweet, so let's read this. Still taking your phone calls on this. Appreciate all the fantastic input tonight from all the folks who called in. If you have a take on this and you're interested, well, how long? Okay, the question is this tonight. I'm going to reframe it here, and then I'll play this clip again from Kid, what's his name? Kid Boo. There you go. So basically this, right? Can humans be cloned? And if so, how long do you think they've been pulling this off? And then, as Mike was talking about, for what purpose? What purpose do you think this is? Is it just a rich man's plaything, right? The elites of the world. What's up, Kelly? I know you're out there. You hate when I use the word elites because they aren't. They're just sociopaths or worse. So let's just say the billionaire sociopaths of the world. What are they? What are they doing? What are they cloning for? Is it for organ harvesting like that movie The Island? Is it for just for kicks? Is it for... Then again, some questions arise, right? If you're cloning as a corporation, let's say you clone somebody, who owns the clone? The corporation cloned you. You don't have parents. So who's going to teach you, right? I don't know. There's a lot here to kind of what's going on with this. So we'll do this real quick, play that clip to reset the conversation. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let me get Algo's link here because Algo's a good dude. And yeah, I got the link right here. So let's do it. Let's share this. And if you guys don't know who Algo Rhythm is, well, you should. You definitely should. And here it is. Link is in the chat right now. Give Algo a follow. I did an interview with him on Saturday. That is his latest show up there, I believe. Go check it out if you guys didn't catch it on Saturday. Good stuff. We had a wide-ranging conversation all over the damn place and conspiracy and everything else. So there we go. All right, let's do this. Let's go back to this real quick and keep on trucking. So this is the thing. This is the thing, right? Fastcompany.com. Here we go. This crib is designed to grow babies outside the womb. When People magazine revealed last week that Kim Kardashian and Kanye West had hired a surrogate to carry their third child, it dominated headlines but shocked almost no one. After all, surrogacy is on the rise in the U.S. One nonprofit group tracked 1,593 surrogate births in 2011, up from 738 in 2004. But what if there were a way to avoid the costly, ethically fraught, and often emotional process of involving a third person in the birthing process? Here we go. Students from Artes Product Design Arnhem have come up with a provocative solution. Parturient, an incubation system. That's what they call it. Parturient. Parturient. An incubation system for bringing a child into the world completely outside the womb. Don't forget, this is in 2017, and this is in the public sphere. Just because it's not widespread and everybody knows about this doesn't mean it doesn't exist, all right? So let's, there we go. And not only that, how long do you think they've been working on this technology? So this pod is an artificial and intelligent internet-connected incubator that could live in your family room. It has a clear curved lid so that eager parents can obsess over every stage of the fetus's growth. To mimic the intimacy of carrying your own baby, there's a portable care bag that slings over the shoulder and simulates the baby's kicks. How morbid is that? Likewise, when the parents gently rock the portable bag, the connected pod simulates the same movement to enhance the bonding experience. What in the hell? Yep. There's a feeding device that gets attached to the incubator as well, delivering just the right kinds of nutrients that have been freshly prepared and mushed up at home. And even a communication device, a microphone that mom or dad can use to coo soothing words or pipe in those brain-stimulated Mozart sonatas throughout the baby's development. I better remember the 90s, the early 90s with the Mozart, the baby Mozart for the brain. Yeah. So this project, presented this year's Biodesign Challenge Summit, is intended to offer a realistic impression of what the consequences of the progress of biotechnology and biodesign could be. And while this pod has the limits of our modern beliefs about, tests the limits about our modern beliefs about pregnancy, the idea is both feasible and has merits. So there you go. They're talking about this, and again, articles. You know me. My sources are always linked down below. You can see I'm not making this shit up. That is a real thing way back in 2017, which again was several years back. But still, you got to think if they're releasing it in some capacity in 2017, how long have they been working on it? And that's what this is about. Pretty nuts, right? So you tell me. I have no idea regarding all the rest of this, but we're talking about human cloning. And do you think this has been going on for a long time, if at all? I'm still open to the take that this is a bunch of BS and they're trolling us somehow. That this Raelian movement is, well, exactly that, sort of a, just another religious movement. You tell me. I don't know. What are your thoughts? It's pretty scary to me. So let's play this clip one more time. This is where this all started. Shout out to Bailey one more time for dropping this in the chat there last night in the Discord. If you guys have not joined the Discord yet, please go to troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, come say hi. Lots of swell people in there hanging out, having a good time, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. And well, I plucked one out last night, early this morning, that Bailey shared. And what was it? right. Yeah, that's right. Human cloning. And this individual by the name of Kid Boo, he's a rapper, and he was discussing this in an interview. Let's hear this one more time, and then we got Jay on the line, and we'll go to him in just one moment. Here we go.
Kid Boo, welcome to Vlad TV.
Hello.
Making a lot of noise recently, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, everyone works towards that, you know, that video that goes viral. And it looks like you have like a nice little handful of them now. You know what I mean? It's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, I got my hands a bit full now, thanks to these accomplishments. Got a few more extra things in my hand I didn't quite anticipate, but it all comes with the territory, I suppose.
Of course. So, where'd you grow up?
South Florida.
Okay. I guess you were born in Jersey?
Yeah. Originally, my first gen. I'm a second gen now. That's why you see the celebrity bursts say I'm born in Toronto, but that's false. My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by Clonate in Canada. My model number is 0112568, if anyone wants to see the registration in Clonate.
Okay. So then you ended up in South Florida?
Yeah.
Okay. And what nationality are you?
Sicilian and Puerto Rican.
Okay. Sicilian and Puerto Rican. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that now.
Those are my two genomes.
Okay. So who's the Puerto Rican one? Who's the Sicilian one?
When I was cloned, they wiped a lot of memory, but when I stole the documents before escaping, I read that the mother was Puerto Rican and I guess the father's surrogate, you could say, was the sperm donor was the Sicilian.
Okay, so you were a test tube baby.
Yeah.
All right, second generation clone, he's saying. This is Kid Boo. Again, all the links are in the description if you want to check this out. And, well, again, is he trolling us? Is he putting us on? What's going on with this? It's a little bit odd to me that he would be making these claims. And he says he's got the documents. I wonder if these documents were ever released. But I think it's less important, really, his personal story, because we can't really prove it one way or the other. But I think it's worthy of consideration that this type of technology is possible. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're discussing whether you could actually clone a human being. And if so, well, how long has this been happening? So love to hear your thoughts. One more time, 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good buddy Jay. Jay in New York. Jay, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? Good evening. Hello. We have usually there's a delay in the when they jump into Discord, so let the man catch up whenever you're ready, Jay. We're just here kicking it, talking about cloning. So just let me know. All right, so love to hear your thoughts as well. I got some more clips we can play from this particular interview with Kid Boo, but he's describing he was actually a second generation clone, and well, that means that of course I guess the parents were also clones. I don't know what to think about this. It does creep me out a little bit to consider that if this has been happening and it's maybe in the public sphere, what's been going on with this? Because yeah, what's up? Lily says, ask him if he has a belly button. It's a good question. I certainly do. Does that mean I'm not a clone? Sorry, Mother Strange. She says, she always says, if you refer to me, make sure it's Mother Strange and not Strange Mother. So there you go. What's up, Jay? Are you there?
Strange Mother is the way I'm supposed to refer to you now?
No. Don't do that. Mother Strange. Mother Strange.
Mother Strange.
Joking about the cloning process. I don't know, man. What do you think? Do you think this is feasible? First off, how are you tonight, my friend? What's going on?
I'm fantastic. Oh, yeah. A beautiful day today. Lots of work done. Great day. Snowy. Whatever. Awesome.
Nice. Love it. All right. So what do you think about human cloning? You think this is real, or you think it's a bunch of BS?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely real. They've been poking their hands in it forever. I mean, we've been doing it with plants for, ever and ever and ever. One of the things that got me thinking about it and everything with all the different conversations that were rolling around is like, maybe we've been doing some sort of the cloning thing for way longer than we think with bloodlines and, monarchies and things like that. Somebody, just the comments that rolled around in there in the chat and all. And it was like, now we're getting a little bit better at it. We can do it more scientifically, petri dish, make sure that we can take the diseases out or the cancers or whatever. And we're doing it that way, but maybe we're missing the part of we're doing it wrong. People joke with me all the time. I have 3 kids, and everybody always jokes and like, your kids are exactly like you. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Blah, blah, blah. All of the things. And it's like, well, it's just the way that I raised them. But the joke is they're Jay's clones because they're just like me. So, can we do that on our own without all the science, and just live on through them? But then I also look at it as, if we're out in Vegas and we're looking at the betting thing, I'm going to throw a couple bucks, not just one, down on somebody's doing it in some deep bunker or old warehouse lab or something like that. Somebody's out there messing around with it, playing games. How could that possibly go wrong? You're doing things like that with the science and technologies. I remember when the sheep thing happened. I was a younger person, 20s, maybe even late teens. And we had big discussions about, is that right to do that? Matt said some stuff in the chat that you could never instill a consciousness on that, something like that. Wouldn't it have its own? If you just took a little piece of something like that and made it new, you'd have to nurture it and grow it. It's not like you're going to put it in a machine and, 3 hours later, you're going to have a 20-year-old man.
Exactly. Yeah. And that turns into a whole nother can of worms, doesn't it? Like, so if they've done that and they've been doing it, is there some other process where they can maybe artificially grow them faster, right? To make them, let's say, wink, wink, military age quickly. You know what I'm saying? Or who knows?
Pump them out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what they did in Star Wars and the Clone Wars. So they had them, and I think they said that they got them to like military age in an advanced aging process, and they did that. Spent the whole time learning and fighting and the whole thing, training. But they grew, I think, to full level, fighting age in like 6 or 8 years or something like that. So they had to cut the time by a third. And so you would expect, right, that type of thing, because, no offense to like a 5-year-old, but you're not going to kick any asses with a 5-year-old, they're still 5. So, even
unless you start them off in karate when they're 3.
Yeah, even then, even Chuck Norris at 5. Chuck Norris at 5 is going to do a limited amount of ass kicking. So it's just the way it is, right? We weigh like 50 pounds or less. It's hard to ass kick like that. But yeah, I don't know. This seems
just like a little dorky, geeky thing I want to say about the Star Wars reference that you brought up.
Sure.
Is that Boba Fett could shoot the wings off of a fly at 1,000 yards. And they were the first clones, right?
Yeah.
Weren't they? Yes.
Yeah. Boba Fett. Yep. He was the first. Yep.
Well, the stormtroopers couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a shotgun at 50 feet. Look at the knowledge that they've lost in breeding that. The second generation thing that the rapper kid was talking about in the article. I know some people know a bit about cloning of plants, and you always want to take it off the original plant, but at some point the original plant will die. So if you're not taking that clone off of the original source, you're taking the clone off of a clone. It's like when you make a key for a door, you always want to use the keys that came with the door, not the one that was made another key, because you're going to lose a teeny piece of it every time you do it.
It gets worse and worse, doesn't it? Yeah, it's
right.
It's a great point about the stormtroopers, right? Like Jango Fett was actually the initial, right? Boba Fett was his clone that he raised himself. The stormtroopers couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with anything. So yeah, it is interesting that even inadvertently, because they have to not shoot the heroes, right? It has to be a plot device that the stormtroopers can't shoot. It also stands to reason that, well, maybe there was some sort of DNA decay from all that test tube stuff and all the rest of that, right? Pretty wild. I love it.
Speeding it up. Well, I mean, speeding it up, getting it done in 6 years instead of 21.
Exactly.
18, 16.
Exactly. Yep. However long it took. Exactly. Yeah. Pretty wild, man. I love the take, and it's a good observation, whether it was inadvertent or not. Definitely good stuff. We got Kelly here too. Let's get Kelly in the conversation. Keep on trucking. You're of course stay till the end, Jay. We're going to do the J-Tro, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I'm going to mute up so I can hear Kelly.
No. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome to chime in, but yeah. All right. Don't go anywhere. Kelly in Colorado. What's up, buddy? Are you there? Welcome to Troubled Minds. You're on with Mike and Jay. What's happening, brother?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Pretty good. Doing our thing, man. Another night, another batch of weirdness. What do you think about human clones? Think this is a real thing?
Okay, so as the nowadays, as technology-wise for us human beings, and nowadays I would say yes. Only because I remember the times when they first did the whole sheep, and then there was a dog. I believe there was a cow too, but yeah, anyway, with that, I mean, these other countries, like here in the United States, it could be under some underground type stuff or some private company. But as for other countries, yeah, like Japan, they've been working some weird science fiction since World War I and World War II. Germany as well. Russia has. These other countries like that, they really didn't have any, human rights or anything else like that. I'm not saying that all of it was bad, but they're trying to clone. I don't know why. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's for tracking all DNA and everything, and trying to decode the whole DNA pool. But I want to. I'm kind of glad you brought this one up too, because this is what I was talking about. Where it's not really a theory; it's pretty much, well, I guess you could say it was a theory because I can't really prove it, but as through the Sumerian writing, right? Back then, clones. Everybody on the planet Earth is a clone. And the reason why I say that is because through those writings, they talk about Enki, right? He was the main brother. He was the scientist. But he had what they called MEs. And MEs were distributed throughout the planet to different, family members, I would say, throughout their pantheon, right? And those MEs were actually to start different civilizations on the planet. What they were was like, the eggs and sperm of the human species. So what was happening was, if you have a clone of a clone of clones of clones that you guys are talking about, that's how you started. But you can actually, they were able to, do slight alterations, maybe what we all look like. You know what I mean? As in, like, from Asian to black to, white, to all the range of colors and, and stuff like that.
Sort of like the CRISPR babies, like in China they did. They're able to make genetic modifications to eye color and some of these other traits, right? For sure, you would expect that a technology that was able to clone individuals would surely be able to make alterations like that to get, the more desirable traits, whatever it was. If you want, the stronger people, you throw it in there, et cetera, so on. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean. There are some natural progressions, like elevation where people lived at and stuff like that, that's just how it was. But yeah, it's exactly like that, Mike, but like the CRISPR, okay? So now the thing about it is if you look at it, I did a lot of examples. I sent that into the Discord, the general one. And the reason for that is because you hear, the word doppelganger, right? And you hear people that saying they kind of look like each other. But if you look at it, the ones that I sent you, you've had even movie stars or whatnot. I mean, some famous people, but there's examples of them worldwide. You know what I mean? I'm talking like the Turkish George Clooney, right? This guy was from Turkey, but he looks exactly like him. He's on the subway, or throughout different races. Like Obama. I think he's on there, and there's an Asian one of him. The Indian Mark Ruffalo, he's from India, right? The other guy, an Asian Johnny Depp, a Brazilian Danny DeVito. And then you even go back through history, right? With Jeff Goldberg, he has an Indian doppelganger. Or you go throughout history, some people that look like people from back in history, right? Let's see. Well, oh yeah, the first one, the Egyptian actress, and J. Law, right? I guess Jude Law. They look almost exactly like
Jennifer Lawrence, J-Law. Yeah, that's the one I got up on the screen.
Yeah, so if you have, I had a lot of other ones too, that go throughout history and stuff like Jay-Z and stuff like that. But these people, this is the ones that I was talking about, because if we're all, that's what I was telling, brought up, is that we're all clones, all of us. It doesn't matter. We've been clones from way back when, right? If this, like I said, if those stories, I would just say if those stories are true, then there's prime examples of that I find pretty interesting, throughout all the different races and stuff of people. That's just, what do you, it's just, I would say it's uncanny, say it's the least, that people look that identical, that have, they're on the opposite side of the world. They're supposed to be a different race. They're not. How are these people mating their parents, and then they come up with a kid that looks exactly like? That's just, that should be pretty rare, but you find that everywhere throughout the planet. So that's the one thing I want to kind of throw in there was, that whole connection again with, with the Sumerian writing. It's just, because it's all science too throughout that, that's where, the first, even mathematic calculus, the example is that in Babylonian text. So for me, it's just another nail in the coffin of how interesting the combination is between the connection between them.
Yeah. So for sure, you think this is happening? Do you think our military is doing this?
I would say yes too, because if you're talking military-wise, like the first thing, that you're cloning presidents, right? For example, you see some of these presidents, even now with Joe Biden, you see sometimes you have one that's can't even remember. He can't even remember his first name or even brush his teeth. Then you have another one the next week, and he's talking like the Joe Biden that that knows everything about politics and shit. It's interesting too, where you have some of those doppelgangers. They think that they get frozen in watching TV or whatever. Prime examples of that, and they're just frozen, right? Maybe a trick word or something that sets them off, or they're shut down or something. But, yeah, I would say military-wise, yeah, I'd say they've been doing that for a while too, and you would need that for each president, because if you don't have a clone, then you need a doppelganger close to one. I know Hillary Clinton was using one. There's a picture of them both together. Even her name, the lady that was supposedly her, but yeah, I would say they would. It was. They need clones, something like that, because it's only for protection wise anyway. You could send the clone in for some simple tasks where you give them some basic movements, download it, into the brain. They just the information, simple information they need. They're going through a parade. They're not really going to answer too many questions. Wave hi, here and there. Maybe shake a couple hands, and don't really need to say anything.
Yeah, I got you. That makes sense. And so instead of like very much like Jay brought up the stormtroopers, right? Sort of that how they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a shotgun, but right, it's clearly a plot device. But I wonder, right, sort of a slip. Oops. Maybe there is some sort of degradation in some of these things. Jay, you got anything for Kelly here? Go ahead, Kelly. Sorry.
No, just to add on to that, it's what's interesting too is again in Zachariah Stinson's in that book, Lost Book, because it's in the Lost Book of Enki, the one I'm kind of referring to. But in that one too, they're actually talking about when they first made the humans, right? Well, for a while after generations, they noticed that they were doing that. They were losing. They were seen to say that the human beings were reverting back to the same species that they were first made from, right? Like the trace marker was gone from the repeating of different clones throughout the thousands of years, right? So they had to counter that. The way Enki did counter it, was he added more DNA. And by what I mean, that not only added DNA, he started mating with that species, the human species, and added more DNA. So he was refusing to let go of his creation. And by doing so, when they, that species to us was reverting back, that's the only way, he found that could do it, was adding more of their DNA to us as well. That's an interesting part that he did bring up too.
Yeah, for sure. Jay, anything on that for Kelly here?
Well, Kelly, thanks for always getting the black goo going really good up there between the ears. That was something that I haven't thought about before, but just looking at that, I mean, genetically, I mean, with the doppelganger things that you posted in the general and stuff like that, a quick scan through all of them, some of those pictures were decades, centuries apart, and you look at that and it's like, how many possibly combinations of it really can be, the DNA. I mean, obviously there's 8 billion right now, different ones, but there's huge similarities in all of them that, certain people don't get sick, certain people don't do that. And then you look at it as like, I don't know who that was. You talk about the God things and the Sumerian record and all that stuff, and it kind of blows my brain up, so I can't remember the names. But if a God was coming down and mate with the humans to have more DNA in them, wouldn't those humans have a little bit of an advantage over the other ones? They were able to hold on to the DNA that didn't make them sick, made them understand math a little bit better. Just the dumb little things that would go in there. And then,
yeah,
those would go ahead.
No, exactly is what it was, Pete, because that's the reason why when they said that, we had everything, that we were actually them. We are them, right? If that's how the story goes, we are actually them, more or less, because the species that in DNA that most people, I believe that scientists are looking for, is the original human DNA or the animal DNA that they so-called jump-started, right? Because it's, and that's why you see a lot of these weird shaped skulls, like, for example, the elongated skulls in Peru, or the ones that we did a show way back in the day with Mike, when I had the ones with all the different weird shaped skulls that they found throughout the planet, right? But every time they seem to do DNA tests on some of these, they're claiming that it's human. They have a lot of human DNA in it. But what is it really human? For me, it's not. That DNA is not human. That DNA is their DNA. To say human DNA is the creature that they jump-started. Now, if that's the case, then yes, we have the long lineage of life. We have the ability and the strength back then. That's just kind of weird too when I look at skulls, for example, too. Like the ones, the the top of the skull right here above the brow line, right? That thickens up mostly on men. It thickens up during age. So these big old skulls that they have that they call in like Cro-Magnon and stuff, and they have these huge eyebrows, or the bones of the eyebrows. That's due to age. Now, to me, it's not that they were just some weird different shape. That, to me, that's like age. It just grew and grew and grew. That thing must have been old. Not just saying that it was an old back, that they found the skull and they're saying that it was back, from, 2,000 to 10,000 years old in a cave. I'm saying that they're saying that this thing is, like, the skull itself is old besides, the age that they found it from.
He was alive for a long time.
It was been
whatever that skull was. Yeah, their math on it. The guys were 34 years old or something like that. It was actually 340.
Correct.
They forgot to carry the one.
Yeah, and science proves that already anyway. So I mean, what is like mainstream science is so funny. They're trying to send you into a directive that they want history to go. And we all know history is being rewritten by all the winners of the wars. So, from thousands and thousands of years, we can only speculate, but that's why I'm saying, when you go back to the oldest and it's in stone, and these things have been, survived thousands, millennia, it's kind of looking at that history is like, what the hell are these people talking about? Because, if you even science through technology and some of the stuff that's inside these rocks, the only thing that could cut is a diamond, but laser cut into something else. It's pretty highly. It's that's the whole reason for the whole ancient alien theory.
Well, I know very simple people can be extremely meticulous. When I go and build things and stuff like that for people, I get myself into a thought process where I could probably build a computer from scratch, raw materials. If I knew all of the knowledge, had the blueprints, the protocol. I mean, are we really that much smarter than all those other people are, or do we just think we are? Did they have that knowledge? Did it get lost? Something happened, a mud flood, continents slipped under the sea, burning down Alexandria, all of that. I mean, within a couple of generations, if you're dealing with passing down verbal stories without it actually written down, we're even going on the translation of what the stone means. We paid 100 guys to do this in stone for the art museum for the beginning of our, the collider there. We want to have the same Aztec great big huge tablet. So we're going to pay 100 guys to sit here with, diamond chisels and chisel this damn thing out so we can hang it on the wall when you walk in the door, because we've got more money than we know what to do with.
Yeah.
And then after 50 years of people telling that story, how much, the victors, like you said, what politicians got elected into office afterwards when they were trying to close the place down because they messed up, whatever. 100 years goes by, 200 years goes by. Next thing you know, we're all cooking food on firewood. It's just how fast do those transitions really go? That's one of the things that gets me with the clones. It's like, you might have something that want to do the whole bouncing back and forth or brain transfer or even the Anne Rice Tales of the Body Thief thing. You just, even if it's picking the right girl and having a child with them so you can steal your son's soul when he's 30,
Right. I forgot about that one. Tales of the Body Thief. That was one of her worst ones. That's why I forgot about it. But yeah, totally. There's a whole book where they're talking about exactly that stuff. Yeah, nuts. What else you got?
I mean, it's twisted people. That's what it is. It's twisted people that are trying to do this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, right? We're dealing with psychopaths, right? We always say it. Once you get past a certain point, money wise, right? It's you cease being human. It becomes money's no longer money; it's power, and you chase the power to become a god, right? Pretty nutty stuff. What else you got for us, Kelly?
Just another one added to that for just to add to the Sumerian. Okay. What's another one, which is a pretty interesting connection too for me, is the what they call the what was that bowl? The Huenta Magna bowl that they found in Bolivia was got Sumerian writing in. Well, in the Zachariah Ascension, what they talked about is, before when they had problems of making the human species, they couldn't get it right because the admixture that they were mixing it with was made, they had the bowl. This bowl was made out of like a crystal, right, from their planet. So they made a bowl that would need to be made from Earth to make, a mud bowl, or like from Earth is what they said. So they started adding the mixture inside of that. But what's interesting about that Huenta Magna bowl on each side is it's about a male and female of how to their creation of each male and female and how to act right and how to, in beginning of life, how to walk through life, right? And it's on both sides. It's just an interesting read. For me, that's just it's a guesstimation out there. It's kind of a reach, but I don't know, man. It's pretty interesting that they find something like that, over in Bolivia, which is actually, the connection between them and Sumerian is pretty uncanny. But yeah, that's just a thing that I want to add to it. Was just all about, the whole thing about the Andes, which is creation of civilization, and then the whole doppelganger thing. There's no way in hell that everybody on planet Earth is just not gonna, that they have that close connection where they look almost like identical brothers and sisters, and that many. So for me, it's just another connection to see that how that unfolds, where the whole doppelganger thing too, and even throughout history, and like Jay said, that some of that stuff is millennia apart. And yet here we are. They look like it's either they're a vampire and live that long, or part is a different race and can live that long, or we're all clones. Everybody on the planet is a clone.
Just linked together, all one big family, recycled over and over again. Great stuff, Kelly. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, brother. You're welcome to stay. Of course, you know the drill. Anything to that, Jay? As we wind this down.
I just look at that. It's like, yeah, we've been around here forever. We are one great big huge family. It's whether you like it or not. We're on the earth. We have to live here together. I mean, we should sit down and have turkey on Thanksgiving and not argue and fight about dumb stuff and have brilliant conversations. It's just that. I do believe that people can live to be really, really old. And then if you obtain that much money at a time, that you would get bored, right? You just want something different to do. I'm going to terraform Mars because I don't know what to do with my $287 billion.
Billion with the B. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try to clone my whole family. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That once you've done everything that's been done, you start to try to do things that haven't been done. And so that makes sense, doesn't it? That makes perfect sense.
You got tons of money. You can get away with whatever you want.
Yeah, that too. That's exactly true. So as we finish, we got a J-Tro, do we? You got a comment for us on the way out of here?
I do. This one is really crazy because I got ditched today because someone got a boost and couldn't make it to work because he was ill. And the guy that's supposed to be in charge took off all day long.
Nice.
Doing shopping, but not for his grandkids. So I was all by myself. So I was out having a cigarette, and I had one, and I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of a odd one. I don't know about that one, but I got to save it. And then it's like all day. It's like, that's the one I'm going to use. And then I talked to Kelly at the end of the third hour here, and I was like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, I suppose.
Right on. We're about to wind this down. Kelly, anything else, brother? He may have checked out, gone into listen mode. All right. So here's the deal. Before you go ahead, Kelly.
Oh no, man! I was just gonna say that was it. Everybody have a good evening, and we'll see you guys this week. Oh yeah, man! I hope everybody's holiday was well. Mine was great.
Nice.
Had my kids here and hadn't seen them for a little bit. It was very nice to catch up with family and stuff. So hope everybody's well, and you guys take care of yourselves.
You too, brother. Appreciate that very much. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it, Jay. Actually, before we do that, I want to point this out. We were doing this a little bit on the news show today. We got hats coming. We have a request for hats and things like this. I got a new Shopify store and some things happening. So if you guys are into this and you like the stuff, well, Jay's in particular has been asking me for a hat, so Jay gets the inaugural hat. So just send me your address, Jay, and for inspiring and keeping your fire under my ass, and I'll send you a hat. And if anybody likes this logo and the stuff and all the things, let me know. Let me know if you want some more of this stuff. If you guys are into the Troubled Minds merch, cool. With the Maybe Juice cups and all the rest of this, all this stuff's coming. If you don't like it, that's cool. If you do like it, that's cool. You get some cool swag, and you get to help the show. So good stuff. What's up? There you go. Penny says I've already got a T-shirt, and there you go. Appreciate that. Thank you for buying that, Penny. And all that stuff is already available. So that's what we're doing. We're going to keep doing this stuff and keep pressing. And it seems weird that people are like, oh yeah, I like that. And I'm like, really? That's weird, because I don't know. It's just weird. It's super weird. But anyway, more of this stuff coming if you guys are into it. If not, that's totally cool. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thanks for being part of this. Let's do it, Jay. I'm going to click it so you can hear the music and you can time this perfectly. Let's do it. Here we go. Let's play this track, which is the Jay outro track. Here we go.
That's cool that I have a track. So we have the prophetic word made more sure, to which you do well to pay attention as to a lamp shining in a dark place, until the day dawns and the morning star arises in your hearts. And I don't want to make people mad, but that's 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 19.
Nice. No reason to be mad. Wisdom is wisdom. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Jay. Always great stuff. Thanks, everybody, for being part of the show tonight. Thanks, Jay, for the J-Tro. Thanks for keeping that in mind and sharing it with us. I don't know. At the end, like I said, I don't know if there are any answers here other than more questions, but it starts to put some things into frame and maybe line it up for some more questions next time. And that's what we do on this show. One more time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Jay for the J-Tro, Jay in New York. Thanks, my man, for being here. What's up, Daryl? Still here. And thanks, Kelly. Thanks all the great calls tonight. And thanks again, always, for being so enthusiastic about the show. Like I said, you guys make my week, make my world go around, because, well, it's a lot better talking when people listen instead of just talking to yourself. I've done both, and this is by far superior, I promise you that. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for all the thumbs ups. Thanks for all the amazing chat. Thanks for all the amazing calls. Thanks for being part of this show. Thanks for being part of this community. Join the Discord if you have not. TroubledMinds.org. Click the Discord link. Jay, anything else, brother?
Oh my goodness, there's hats now?
Yeah,
yay!
And I'm sending you the first one. That's for you. That Jay's been on my ass for weeks. He's like, where's my hat? So this hat came about because Jay wanted a hat, and now we'll all have hats. If everybody wants a hat, the inaugural hat goes to Jay, and they'll be available on the Troubled Minds store. Coming soon to a website near you. So yeah, all right, let's get the hell out of here. Which one do you want to hear on the outro?
The grandmother's one.
Let's do it.
I always like your grandmother.
The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific, for more Troubled Minds. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.
Awoo! Yay, there's hats.
Have a good night, guys.